Welcome everyone to day 2 of the Hearthstone World Championship for 2019. My name is Frodan and I'm joined by Brian Kibler, the Master of Dragons. It is the Year of the Dragon. Kibler, we're here in Taiwan, back for more Hearthstone action, and day number 1 was super exciting. I can't wait for day number 2 to get started here.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what comes out of this group today. You know, yesterday we saw a lot of crazy stuff. We saw Day almost make it through the top 8 with that Nomi priest deck, and there's a lot of still kind of wild stuff remaining. There's everyone's take on Shaman, for instance. Will it be the ancestral healing wild version of Hunterace, which he gave us a very in-depth lecture about when we had a chance to talk to him, or one of the many other versions we've seen.
That's right. It's a new year. It's a new rotation. Lots of really interesting decks. And today, the second half of players will be going at it to see who's right about the metagame. Today is day 2. We're going to do groups C and D. And then tomorrow, we're going to do elimination day. Who is going to be sent home and have their hopes and dreams crushed. And then day number 4, the top 8 plays out where we're going to be crowning a champion. It's going to be really exciting, but there's a lot of things that we can center on. What are some of the headlines that stick out to you, Kibler?
Well, one of the big things for today, we have all of the top point earners, all of the players who came out on top of their regions with those HCT point totals throughout the year, including Hunterace, including Tyler, including justsaiyan. So, a lot of the really top competitors who have yet to play who we're going to see today. Yeah. Speaking of the sort of breakdown of the metagame, Rogue is the individual most popular class in the tournament, and Tempo Rogue the most popular deck. It hasn't been doing quite as well as people might have expected, going 5 and 6 in the opening day.
Yeah, well, everyone knows Rogue gets a little bit slow of a start. They don't have a 1-drop. They usually hero power on 2 unless they have the coin. So just like that, in the tournament, it's a little bit of a slow start, Kibler.
Yeah.
Wait till we see the final. Maybe Rogue can show up later.
And I think, to be fair, we saw a lot of people leaving up Rogue, planning to beat Rogue with their lineups. They're not necessarily, leaving up Rogue and just not having any plan against it, right? So I think when you see the deck, it only had 11 appearances. I think it was banned at least a few times there. But I think today we're going to see Rogue a lot more because I think the general plan in these groups seems to be banning Warrior.
Well, the exciting thing for me is that historically, the points leaders have been the ones taking the World Championship. Last year, it was Tom60229 for Asia Pacific. 2016, it was the last call invitational winner, Pavel from Europe, that was able to take it. And I think everyone knows how good these points leader players have proven themselves.
I mean, it takes both dedication and tremendous skill to make it through to the end of the year and be among or the individual leader in points for your region. These are players we talk about them. justsaiyan had an unbelievable run throughout the year, and he is one of the players who a lot of people have their eye on at this tournament.
Well, we mentioned Tempo Rogue being on top as one of the decks to beat and to watch, but some of the other decks have made quite the splash. Zoo Warlock, Mid-Range Hunter, and Summoner Mage all showing play yesterday. We didn't see much Control Warrior, but we did see Bomb Warrior let through, and despite the fact that people let it through, was still getting big wins.
Yeah, and I think yesterday was most of the day of Bomb Warrior. Today is the day of Control Warrior in terms of the decks that players brought. We do see there's a pretty even split. There are, I believe, where it was only 2 players who didn't bring Warrior, if I'm not mistaken. So most of the field has 3 players who didn't bring Warrior. Most of the field has Warrior, as we see there. I'm getting fact-checked right away with the graph here. 3 players who did not bring Warrior, only a single player who didn't bring Rogue. You saw 75% in that list for Tempo Rogue. There are some players, including Bunny Hopper and Viper, who are playing Miracle Rogue.
Love it.
Which is a questing adventurer, gadgets and auctioneer, Togwaggle scheme, Togwaggle himself deck, which can do some wild things.
Yeah. And on the opposite side, we have Paladin Priest. Yesterday was the story of the Miracle Priest from Kill All Day. Had a great start, faltered at the finish line when it mattered even more. Yeah. And then today is the story of the Paladin. We talk about Roger and his very wacky lineup. He's on both sides. He's the only player not bringing Rogue. He's the only player bringing Paladin. That's going to be a huge risk. And in fact, it's something to think about as we preview groups C and D, just to show you guys what the bracket is going to look like. Group C is going to start off really explosive with Hunterace versus Ike. EU versus NA, and I heard a little bit of trash talk back and forth. Who's going to be the one that has the favorite? Ike says, as confident as he is, this is the matchup that he didn't want.
Yeah, he felt like Hunterace really built his lineup almost specifically to beat him. that is something that's actually a strategy you can go into in these tournaments. The players not only knew their groups, but their first-round opponents. And, you know, Ike is a fantastic player, but he's fairly predictable in terms of the decks that he likes. He tends to, you know, he plays his thing and goes face. And, you know, he has an aggressive lineup, and Hunterace is built, his lineup is built to beat aggressive decks.
Yeah, perhaps the darkest horse of the tournament, A83650 from Poland, up against justsaiyan. It's a David versus Goliath story, but that's not stopped A8 in the past from being able to make a deep run.
It's actually David versus Casper. That's
sure. I was talking about the bottom match.
I know, but no, there's actually 2 Caspers in this. A8 is also
right.
Casper.
Oh, I totally blanked on that. You know, I'm so used to calling Hunterace
And justsaiyan's real name is David.
But yes, there's 2 Caspers in this group. There only could be 1.
Yeah, it's true. Only one. Well, actually, 2 could emerge from it.
Yeah.
The winner runner-up.
Can Saiyan avenge Muzzy, who was not able to get through to the winner's match? But in Group D, we talked a little bit about this. Roger versus Tyler, an APAC battle. Roger with the wackiest lineup, and Tyler coming off of quite possibly the most emotional story of 2018.
Yeah, you know, Tyler had you know, a major struggle personally throughout this year with his father passing away, but he was able to, you know, make it to a 2nd championship, and you know, here at the World Championship as the Asia Pacific points leader. And he was saying backstage just you know, a little while ago that he feels if he wins this match, he's going to be the world champion because he thinks this is his toughest match by far. He was practicing against Roger's decks, and I believe his warrior managed to win like a game in like a set of 20.
Yeah, and you know, Tyler, he told everybody that his father's dying wish while he was seeing his last moments was to become the Hearthstone champion, to pursue his dreams. So if that doesn't, you know, get you by the heart, then I don't know what, well, you're dead inside if you're not cheering for Tyler in some capacity, even if you are a Roger fan. And on the other side of the bracket, we have Bloodyface from the United States, a player that's been rising up, meteoric rise, to say the least, in the past couple years, up against Viper, who's also had a fantastic 2018.
Yeah, both these players made multiple championship appearances this year, and you know, Bloodyface is a player who quit his job earlier in the year to pursue professional Hearthstone, and immediately made it to the top of the championship.
That's right.
And then made it back to another championship. And Viper, he was a competitor at our first championship last year, as well as the final championship of the season.
Yep, 2 underrated players going at it. And you know, speaking of Bloodyface, he is on Team Lazarus Gaming along with Language Hacker, looking to see if he can also follow up a fallen teammate where justsaiyan and Muzzy are in that similar position. And of course, shout out to Omni/ and Ike. We host the Omnistone podcast back at home. This week we couldn't do it, understandably so. Hope you guys will tune into the next time we can. But it's going to be really exciting to see who can fight, not just for themselves, but also for their team pride.
The first match is going to be Hunterace versus Ike. Okay, gentlemen, please come to the center to shake hands with each other. Thank you for coming, and good luck to you. Please take a seat.
Yes, considering that Ike went to this day saying, the one player I did not want to go up against is Hunterace this tournament. If I can get past him, I feel really good. Do you feel like you also agree with that sentiment here from Ike, or perhaps he's over-exaggerating?
I do think he's in a very tough spot. You know, Hunterace, as you mentioned during the opening, was able to essentially just sniff out what Ike was going to play.
At the same time, there's not many good Hex targets in this deck. When I say good, you're thinking about big, heavy dragons like you know, your Sarah in the Mage deck.
Usually there's like Edwin, right? That's like the only thing you're really super thrilled to Hex. Does fire off one right now.
I like it. And he even gets a nice outcome with the Tauntaun to gain a little bit extra life here. I think Ike probably feels like this is a setup for turn 8. Hunterace has been holding to the coin, and turn 8 could be a really big swing if he's not careful.
Well, one interesting thing about Hex in these Control Shaman decks is the ability to Hex into Walking Fountain means you are guaranteed to have a 0-attack minion that Walking Fountain gets to hit. So you can often kill, you know, multiple things while still having a ton of health left in your Walking Fountain.
That's right.
Shadow Step, another raiding party, and Assassinate. I think Ike is deciding between Assassinate and Shadow Step here. He has the Ethereal Lackey. He could just Shadow Step and rebuy, or Shadow Step, a Burglar or the SI, rebuy. The Leroy in hand as well. Shadow Step, gives you some pretty scary stuff as well.
Interesting.
All right, I would guess we're seeing Spirit Bomb here. Timeout's not very useful. Corruption, yeah. And does discount the Vendetta. He could just use Vendetta to push damage here if he wanted to, but kind of kind of excessive, I think.
Ike flirting with the idea of utilizing
the Shadow Step,
but he keeps Leroy in his back pocket, which I think is the important thing.
Right.
And now, if Hunterace had that Hagatha, Ike would have... he wouldn't have enough damage. I thought, I was assuming he had a Waggle pick, but in this position, Hunterace, is he forced to pull the trigger on the Hagatha scheme?
I don't know that it's getting better, right? Like, what board is Hunterace hoping for this in the future?
Right.
And I was actually somewhat surprised they didn't pull the trigger when there were just a couple of minions in play, like the 2/3/3s. Right. I thought that actually was a fairly juicy Hagatha scheme board against Rogue, but he hasn't seen the second Dread Corsair. I believe he actually knows there's another pirate in the hand based on the card positioning from the raiding party.
Yes.
So he has
actually, that was the first one that was in his opening hand. He played one raiding party, and then he had a Waggle pick naturally.
No, I'm saying the Dread Corsair. I believe he knows another pirate, and it makes a lot of sense for that. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Hagatha scheme right here. That's not going to get much better.
Yeah.
Now it is totem time.
I like the restraint for holding on to Hagatha scheme. He's gotten a lot better position, although it's still scary with the amount of damage.
There is Van Cleef. So what could this look like for Ike? He has the Waggle pick. He could like Waggle pick Dread Corsair if he wanted to Vendetta Van Cleef.
Right.
He does know that there's Earthshock and another copy of Hex in Hunterace's deck.
I think I like Van Cleef just as a 6/6 here.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to pump it up too much. Hunterace even has an Earthshock in the deck, and coincidentally in the hand. This also says that the Leroy Shadow Step, so Hunterace has to heal or set up a wave of taunts, which he actually does have through the form of Giggling Inventor.
There's also the Acidic Swamp Ooze here, which will kill the Waggle pick and bounce one of these.
That's true. In fact, Acidic Swamp Ooze plus the Giggling Inventor.
Yeah, is available with coin.
Very strong.
We'll see what hits. Okay, so that means Van Cleef is sticking around. So will Hunterace pull the trigger on this Hex? Is he just dead if he does?
If he gets a taunt totem, he does
have ancestral healing, but there's the Vendetta. I think that Hunterace almost has to coin out the Giggling Inventor to be able to beat Leroy plus Shadow Step, though he doesn't know that there's another Shadow Step. Ike has used his deck's natural Shadow Step, I believe, and this one is from Lackey.
Oh, wow. Okay, Farsight gives him another reroll. He's not dead yet, but Hunterace is playing with fire. A 4-mana Giggling Inventor.
I mean, I think he has to go. He could coin coin Twilight Drake Ancestral Healing. I think he just has to play Giggles here. If he just coins out the Hex, I think he dies. Yep. Coin Hex. And he thinks there's no more Waggle pick. He thinks there's no more Shadow Step, but that Shadow Step from the Ethereal Lackey is enough to combine with this Leroy and give Ike a 1-game lead in the series.
That's a big win for Ike,
It is.
and I'm stunned that Hunterace not playing the Giggling Inventor. Obviously, he thought a lot about it. He didn't play things super quickly.
I mean, right now, Ike's hand is quite bad. So, there's nothing he can really do to take advantage of the fact that Hunterace does not have, a very wide, strong board.
So what was just the play? You want to play...
I felt like rather than daggering, the Witchy Lackey and Faceless Lackey was
so then
looking like it would be very strong.
In that position, 5 or 6 minions would be on the board, and I think Hunterace says, I don't have a way to deal with Sea Giant.
Okay.
So then if Ike has like a Sea Giant play, then
I buy it. Yeah. I wasn't really doing the Sea Giant calculations, so that makes a lot of sense.
But, I mean... It just shows you how careful Hunterace. I mean, he's playing around a lot of stuff now. I think he's saying, like, last game I didn't play around certain things. I'm going to go for this. A little too disrespectful last game, and now very cautious this game.
Vanish can be real powerful. Not necessarily in this matchup because your opponent has just so many small things, but yeah, just going to take a second Vendetta.
Oh, yeah. I'll take an upgraded Wing Blast every time here. This is so powerful in this spot.
He can take out this Magic Carpet and now use the Witchy Lackey.
Right. And now he's not afraid of Sea Giant because he has 2 removal pieces to use to clean it up. Oh, that's even more damage.
7 damage. Does cost 1 more, right? But it costs 0 because...
Right. Because...
That's funny.
That's so insane. What kind of combo is that?
Wow. So he has a second Vendetta that costs 0. It's not even cost 4 less, it's cost 0.
Yeah.
So the additional cost, I believe it's Kirantor Tricaster is the name of that 4-drop. And that is spell damage plus 3, but your spells cost 1 more. So, but Vendetta specifically sets its cost to 0 if you have a spell from another class in your hand.
Yeah, and it overrides that.
And we look at the Starfire, it costs 7. That's crazy.
Well, speaking of crazy, Ike has AoE to like win back the board.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because, I mean, Zoo Warlock played Hellfire like once upon a time, unironically, because there weren't better cards to play. And now I feel like we're turning back the clock
Hunterace is 1 damage off lethal, though, right? He has
you're right.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Starfire for 8.
And there's not much that I can do about it.
No, I mean, he can just Starfire face for 8 now. He doesn't have to necessarily... Ooh, there's an underbelly fence, so maybe it's not going to be doing that.
Yeah, he's 19 damage. Faceless Lackey could discover chargers or extra damage.
Right.
So you could start with that, but then you couldn't play Starfire.
If you don't Starfire now, you potentially lose the extra damage from your guy, but I don't know how much that matters.
I think
You also lose the rush and plus on underbelly fence, which you just drew, though, which might be more important. Or at least at least mitigate that.
And I think because of the threat of Sea Giants in plural,
Does this work to you?
he's going to hold on to it. But he's so firmly far ahead that I like almost anything Hunterace does. In fact, I kind of like him to restrict the board by trading in his 1/1 again.
Yep, that's what he's doing.
And I don't think he has to play this Faceless Lackey. I think he just re-dagger. It's very consistent with his game plan, and Hunterace is firing on all cylinders. Immaculate play this turn. But he has that Hellfire.
He does, but it does leave a Lackey in play, rather than Miscreant in play, and then there's still a 5 damage Starfire, plus the dagger.
Still 1 damage off. Here's the thing, though. Zoo Warlock eventually wants the life tap, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, you could just Starfire face, attack you down to 1, and then is there even a... There's just the Voidwalker, I believe, in Ike's deck that could allow him to survive if he wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I expect that we'll see life tap anyway. He can just leave open the Starfire available to him.
Yeah. The Starfire is a surprise factor. Now it's Hunterace's turn to surprise Ike with some of these card generators because Ike's going to be very tempted to life tap because he's in a desperate situation.
You can just fire up Vendetta here, leaving a single 1/1 against this board, plus the Starfire in hand.
Right.
And yeah, Ike is now the one who has really no options here. He has to life tap to find anything because otherwise he dies on board.
Yeah. Surprising amount of damage coming out from Ike this turn, though. Like, the double Grim Rally with the Abusive Sergeant on Leroy is still about half of Hunterace's life.
Yeah, he could attack for 11 this turn, but unfortunately for him, Hunterace is still at 25.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that in this game, a lot of what we saw here was just the power level of the Thief package, the Vendettas and the Underbelly Fence, just leaving Ike with so little that he was able to do. Right. Obviously, Ike had a pretty poor draw early on, but Hunterace's Miscreant did a ton of work, as well as his just awareness of, okay, I need to kill this Scarab Egg, pick off the Scarab to come out of it before something like Grim Rally can get online. And then
Mishu's a Gadget Stand where you built a custom potion. You get to build a custom spell minion. The Stormbringer is kind of what you're looking for, but Lightning Storm is also really effective here.
Stormbringer is what I'm always looking for. I think Lightning Storm is more what Hunterace is looking for. That was a snap pick right there. And that is an incredibly powerful horror right here. Drustvar Horror with Lightning Storm Feral Spirit. He's going to have a 5/5 for 5 that kills his opponent's board and gives him 2/3 taunts.
Yep. It is a very powerful thing. AoE and board development, exactly what you want against Zoo. And those wolves have taunt.
Yes.
Hunterace,
big deal.
I mean, I think he's far ahead enough that he can get away with tossing in Ancestral Healing. Man, Hunterace is so greedy. He's going back and forth. Like sometimes, like, okay, I'm the beatdown, so I'm going to go ahead.
One big thing is that Ike's deck doesn't have Soulfire, right? So, like, just getting in like the chip damage isn't nearly as powerful as it is for some other versions of decks that have more burst. He only has Leroy for burst in this deck.
It's true, but without double Magic Carpet, I mean, it feels like the Swamp King character would trade 2 for 1 in this spot.
It's true.
Which makes me feel like, I kind of want to go.
I actually think there may be the rationale from Hunterace that if his opponent plays Sea Giant, he wants to be able to attack the Sea Giant and play Hagatha. So he doesn't want Ike to attack the Swamp Queen Hagatha.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair enough. Like baiting him to the extent to the board.
Right.
And in the end, gets the value trade anyway, so it works out really well for Hunterace. I mean, I like the upside of keeping Ancestral Healing. You know, if you're able to get the Walking Fountain, for example.
Yeah, look at that scheme.
Crush it. Oh, scheme at 8?
It is. And Ike's going to trade to try and protect the Giant from exactly what I was just mentioning, the Hagatha plus trade. But Hunterace, he's been scheming for a long time. And it might finally be the moment that those plans are set into motion, as this is an 8-point Hagatha scheme that wipes the entire board.
Yeah, if he had 9 mana, he had the Hex and Dress for Heart to go for a guaranteed board clear with Lightning Storm, Development, and destroying his opponent's board.
He even just drew the Witch's Brew too, so the threat of burst, even getting Ethereal Lackeys off of Evil Genius and finding Soulfires, not going to really be working out. And I think that we're at the stage where Hunterace feels like he is just in incredible control of this and wants to make sure he does not make a mistake.
Yeah, and that's why I look at Hagatha's Horror and I'm like, is it really that bad to just play that in the Acolyte here?
The Horror? Yeah, that's definitely an option.
Oh, I meant the Hagatha scheme and the Acolyte. Like, does he feel like he's wasting his resources by doing it?
Which I think part of it's interesting. The Dress for Horror here does give him, a bunch of damage on his opponent's stuff. It does overload him for 4, which is a fairly big deal.
And it does give him the ability to scheme the following turn.
I am pretty surprised that he didn't want to scheme here. Maybe that's exactly why he did not. The possibility of a follow-up Sea Giant.
But he has a Hex.
Right. I'm just trying to think through.
Right.
I think that the second Sea Giant, Ike might think, okay, well, my first Sea Giant didn't die. Maybe the second one's safe, and then the Hagatha scheme comes down.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, actually, because Hunterace is so fixated on the value of being able to get the Hagatha scheme and saving Hex for any kind of Hail Mary attempt that he should be good to go in almost any scenario here.
It's interesting.
Also, I think he's worried about a Solarium was already played, actually.
Yeah, Solarium was played. I mean, there's one remaining Sea Giant after this Sea Giant, and I mean that's part of why just being able to scheme last turn, wipe everything off, and have the Hex in reserve just feels particularly powerful to me. Right.
But now it's like he doesn't even really need the scheme. He can just Hex.
Right, well, he can just Hex.
Yeah.
Trade off the 5/5.
Yeah. The scheme is for the nuke option. The nuclear option in case Ike does something amazing, like Evil Genius into Ethereal Lackey into like Rafam's scheme into like crazy board development with Grim Rally. I think that's kind of. But even then, he has Hagatha just as a battle cry.
Oh god!
This is dicey to say the least.
Maybe Ike's the fatigue plan.
Yeah, trying to make him draw out.
Oh god!
Woo. Solarium.
Another one. Okay.
Flash fails.
All
right, that's a clear board.
Yeah, and now now Ike's like, all right, well,
that's a Hagatha coming down.
You, oh god.
Woo! With the tree, foul the lake, and curse
And there's even, just the ooze to follow it up, get a spell, and both walking fountains in hand for Hunterace.
Yeah.
And
Hunterace, stop. He's already dead. Come on, man. I mean, good on Ike to play it through. Even if you have a 0.5% chance of winning or less, sticking through it, as long as it's above 0. But I think this is almost as close as it can get to 0. He has double Giggling Vendor, double Walking Fountain.
Right. Shutter Walk for the horror and for the Agatha.
Yeah, I mean, we joked about having, I kind of wish you had Rafam in this position. I think he'd very much take that. Still a reasonable board, too, despite everything.
It's true.
Dude, Walking Fountain, though.
That is the real deal.
Yeah, new common elemental that has Wind Fury, Lifesteal, and Rush. You can combo it with all the Ancestral spells. Ancestral Healing, Ancestral Spirit. And Ike is going to scoop him up. That is game 3 over to the Norse player.
And this was what Hunterace really built this deck to do. Just
Tendies. The best tendies available to him.
And now, Hunterace, he has that Scaleworm Ping still available, so he can take out 3 of these minions.
And keep the Ziliax alive.
Yep.
That is really nice.
And this is just a really rough situation for Ike here, as his board is just getting...
Yeah, have we mentioned that Rush is a really powerful mechanic?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Ike even values it in his own deck, Crystal Stag.
Right.
To try to get that Rush effect.
Crystal Power is the draw. Not really very powerful right now.
Yeah, this might look like Ike is considering obviously developing or just utilizing Swipe in this position. Crystal Power, a new spell that gives you the choice of either restoring 5 health and getting that activation through Life Weaver or Crystal Stag, or you can just deal 2 damage. Very similar to...
The Tending Tauren uses his mana most effectively this turn. Gonna go with the Swipe, though.
Yeah, the thing about Tending Tauren is that it gives really good trades for Hunterace once again, and then that Ziliax will take out effectively 2.5, 3 cards.
He could kill the Ziliax with his 1/1 remaining in play.
You're right. Sorry, but
I am a little bit surprised by the Swipe there. Maybe the thought process is that Swipe is just not going to be good later. Summoning Portal, interesting.
That ends up being very good for a summoning mage that wants to play big stuff. Like Mountain Giant, I think, is playable.
You see Hunterace nodding a little bit. All right. My summoning theme deck is continuing.
Yeah, actually, Mountain Giant was playable either way, but now you can play both Mountain Giant plus something else. So, Ike drawing another Swipe.
I mean, there's no great way, and this is kind of part of why I felt like the Tending Tauren last turn. Yes, it would have left up the Scaleworm, but you would have had the 2/2s along with the Tending Tauren. Scaleworm could kill one of them, and now Ike has these Tending Taurens which are behind other minions, where having obviously an additional Swipe here he couldn't play anyway. But he'd have the bodies on the board. He would have a 3/4 and a 2/2.
I'm inclined to agree. I'm inclined to agree because, and you know who else might agree? Because Bloodyface might agree too, because he's been
player thing that costs the most mana.
He's been very critical of players that have been favoring using removal and hero powering a little bit to try to be more value oriented. But he's saying if you're a deck that really wants to get on the board, why not get on the board?
Well, this is a really good mind control tech opportunity for Hunterace.
Yeah, I think the Twilight Drakes.
Even Drake MC tech. Oh my God. This summoning portal is... Oh, and he takes the 3/4, takes the Tending Tauren.
And he also can play one more minion in these 6 Wampoos. He can go so wide. He's the token mage. It feels like he's going faster and wider on the board. Yeah, Ike's in a bad spot to say the least. But if he's able to weather this, Hunterace has no cards left in his hand.
Yeah, but he has 7 things in play.
Yeah. If.
That's a really big if. I don't know what the sequence of cards that I could draw that would allow him to get out of it.
Life Weaver, I mean, I guess maybe you haven't been on the receiving end of just the Miracle Druid type situation, but I've seen some wacky stuff happen from that.
All right. Explain to me how I get out of it.
Okay, he draws
Life Weaver.
He draws.
Life Weaver, right?
He draws Crystal Stag at one point and removes half some of the board.
He can't draw. Crystal Stag is not enabled.
Right, but he can't enable it
even
yet.
Crystal Power. He's at 26.
Right. In the future turns. And
How many turns does he have here?
3?
What to do?
He's going to remove at least 2 of these minions.
That's
or
true.
3 of these minions.
With the swipe here, he's killing some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he can remove 2 more of these minions and just put 7 power on the board. But then he is not using Crystal Power for its heal, so I think he'd rather just utilize its heal, maybe? It's close. I guess because he has 2 more minions to play on 9, he'd rather just utilize his mana efficiently now.
Oh my God, Book of Specters.
All right.
We're talking about, you know, oh, well, how does like win
Okay.
here? Oh, right, well.
If he didn't have Book of Specters, he would have been drawing this.
It's
And
true.
it's like, I think I could have came back if he just drew one big 4 state, for example. I think he still can.
Yeah, no, at this point, after that signature removal and that book into mostly air, now Hunter is in the position that, you know, do I hold these Witch Doctors or do I just try to push you down with damage? How much? There's 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wait.
Wait! He drew Forest Shade. Oh my God!
Hold on, Kibler.
All right.
That is a big draw for Ike.
Conjurer's Calling.
That's a nice draw, too.
Okay, and there's still, it's a 6-drop he has from the Tending Tauren.
Power of Creation.
All right, this game got a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to get.
Woo!
All right, well.
That's a good one and a bad one. But that's okay, because then you can use it again.
It's true. All right.
Are you kidding me? That is the power of Conjurer's Calling.
That was basically the power of creation right there.
Yeah.
With Khadgar in play.
And now Hunterace is pushing for lethal. I just don't have the time anymore.
All right, those were a couple of big swings going back and forth there. And yeah, now 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
The soul, that's the soul of Far's draw. The taunts in the way are massive
Right,
here.
yeah, that 4-7 taunt. What was that? I forgot the guy's name. I want to say Temple something, but I don't think that's right. Ornery Tortoise. And there it is. So Hunterace takes the series 3-1 in a game that was, you know, much more volatile than I at least was willing to believe prior to those last couple of turns.
It was scary, but in the end, Hunterace takes it 3-1. And Ike's prophecy has become self-fulfilling at this point.
Next match is going to be Roger versus Tyler. Okay, players, please shake your hands. Please come to the center. 好的，来一点掌声，欢迎我们的2位选手，罗杰加油！我们的地主选手 ，OK, please take a seat.
Even with a 10-10.
Yeah, I was going to say, barely.
Overall,
Yeah,
considering the egg has an 8-8 in it too.
right.
Oh, I forgot about the
Bronze
gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe attached it to the 8-8 was better then. Because then you would have a total of 3.
Keep it at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, very possible.
It's interestingly enough, if you think about it, in some versions, that 8-8 could have just become a Ziliax. And that one-off legendary spell in the deck isn't the most mind-blowing thing in the world for Tyler to deal with. Could have been a little bit scary. No Burglar here has prep as well as Fan plus this spell to maybe mess around with to help out clearing this board. Or at least creating a gap, a window to just attack with, but with so much healing and sustain in Roger's deck, I don't think you can just ignore minions and go face and guarantee you'll even kill them fast enough.
Tyler digging for desperate measures here, prep a new challenger. That ain't it. Pretty much needed, what, damage Stegatron in that position to kind of be even somewhat competitive with this board state?
Yeah, I guess so. Or the 4-7,
Sure.
maybe.
Sure.
Now, options. There's still a lot of power on the board for Tyler. Roger cannot ease up here. And he doesn't have fantastic ways to do this, mainly because of this Divine Shield on the High Spire and Togwaggle.
Yeah.
It's actually a huge problem.
It's very irritating. Again, there's the kind of the natural essence of Roger's deck, where his deck costs so much mana in total. He spends so much mana every turn. He very rarely hero powers. So he doesn't get 1/1s on the board that can do useful things like pop off Divine Shields. He just has huge minions like this, none of which want to really crash into a Divine Shielded Taunt minion.
I actually wondered, I mean, I'm basically learning this, this deck as we go.
Oh,
So
as
I think everyone is, except for Roger, maybe, to be honest. But I was wondering whether this was a turn you could afford to play Undertaker. Because he gains some death rattle with the popping an 8/8. It's a big minion in itself. And then even if Tyler gets through the wall of this taunted egg, he could just Nazari the turn after and have a wider, bigger board. Ended up going with the Blessing of Kings and the True Silver Champion. Probably the most cards he'll play in a single turn all game. 2.
Very possibly, yeah.
So many options.
Can trade with the Van Cleef, which does hurt a little bit, putting it to 3. But most importantly, I think he can pick off this 8/3, which means at least one of them dies. There'll still be a clean 8/8, but Tyler needs to get these picks going because now he's got 2 in hand and they're not doing anything right now.
Yeah. It is always very scary to equip a Waggle pick when you have a huge Edwin Van Cleef on board, but the fact that it's being traded down to 3 health anyway.
If it becomes, say, even a 6/6 afterwards, if it even survives next turn, then it's still not bad, is it?
Right.
Blood and plunder.
This is pretty wide, and it's going to sound really silly as well, but without a Fan of Knives and maybe the pick in a couple of turns, it does keep his hand size big. He does keep having resources to go through. A card in hand is a Lightforged Blessing on the far right of Roger's hand. If you don't know what that is, it's 2 mana, give a minion lifesteal, but it also has twin spells, so you can do it twice. Very, very cheap and effective heal for Paladin if you can stick the minions. Whoa, okay. Again, like, even so, interesting turn. Because Roger could have actually cleared off the Van Cleef.
Well, yeah, he could have killed the Dread Corsair first.
Yes,
which
and then
I guess if he doesn't kill the Dread Corsair first and the Dread Corsair gets bounced, it's then easier for him to trade into the minions that he's worried about anyway.
Right.
So leaving the Dread Corsair there kind of increases his chances. It's interesting. I was just thinking because the hometown crowd here are, of course, very much in support of Roger, popped huge for that Edwin Van Cleef being bounced. Which I'm not necessarily sure was like a huge outcome for Roger because it had 3 health anyway. He could have killed it with a True Silver Champion. His hand is full of healing, so that damage doesn't matter. And he had Outdoor Peacekeeper anyway to neutralize it. So I'm not really sure like the result of that turn actually mattered a huge deal to Roger in the grand scheme of things.
Well, funnily enough, I actually think if he killed the Dread Corsair, traded off the Cleef, and then bounced either Kangor or Greenskin, it actually would have been better.
Just to
because
stop
the
giving your
weapon's gone.
opponent- Yeah.
Greenskin's 5 mana.
Yeah.
And he needs a weapon equipped.
Yeah.
We can see the second picks in hand, but still, this 8/8 Cleef is actually, I think,
Right.
a bigger deal right now
Right, yeah,
than
I
what the
agree.
previous turn could
No,
be.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And because of the Lightforged Blessing, that even if you face tanked the Van Cleef,
Exactly, yeah, it just doesn't
you
matter.
just heal back up
Your
again.
hand is, your entire deck is huge minions with high attack, and
Yeah.
your hand is Twin Spell, Give Lifesteal, and restore both heroes to full health. Like,
Right.
you can take some damage this game.
Whereas this 8/8 is actually just, for me, a bigger threat right now.
I mean, it's dealt with on board, though.
Yeah, I agree. Just got to look for those small percentages.
You do.
But now,
Perfectly honest, this game has looked rather over for quite some time, so grasping at straws is kind of all we're left with at this point.
and there's still so much more as well. I mean, the single sound the bells would make a big impact, or a final nail in the coffin.
How much impact can you make on a game that you've already won?
I just mean there's still so many good cards that even if Roger somehow lost his board, would pull him back into it. There's Undertaker. Roger can use these resources quite freely, as this isn't a control mirror. It doesn't mean he has to say, oh, I need the most value out of these 8/8s because I might run out of them at some point.
Right.
Nope. Roger's got more than enough in the bank right now.
Tyler's free to raiding party here on comboed because he's already drawn both of his waggle picks. He's only got one pirate remaining in his deck anyway, apparently. And this needs to be the Omega spell.
Which one?
Which isn't really a bad choice of words, since Omega is now kind of a keyword in Hearthstone.
I thought you meant a card, and I was like, is there an Omega card that just wins the game on 10 mana crystals?
That spell,
that's what he would need.
That spell needed to be the alpha and Omega.
There
Needed to be the beginning and end of all spells. And it's one of the few minions that actually gets hit and dies. If Brawl comes down, it's a bad outcome for him.
He still has the links just in case it randomly wants to Dire Frenzy instead of an Unleash the Beast Wyvern.
That was something I was thinking about, because Unleash the Beast is definitely a card that you can be forced to play, right? Like there can be a board state where it's so good to play a 5/5 rush minion that you just have to play it. And if that happens a couple of times over the next couple of turns and then he draws the Dire Frenzy, he might end up out of beasts. But yeah, you just get the links to sit back on anyway.
Yeah,
You've
whatever.
got 2 Unleash the Beasts in your hand. Like, how likely is this to happen?
One of them is twin spelled as well, so one of them is 2. And
Is one of them still a twin spell?
Yeah, the one you got from, well, that was a natural draw, the second one, I think. The first one was from Zul'jin.
Okay.
Funnily enough, the Dynomatic will just snipe Ken on this board. So at least gets rid of level 1.
This is actually really cute. Roger is pushing Tyler to fatigue, which may seem weird because we know that Tyler is an Elysiana deck, right? Why would he need to push him to fatigue when he's not going to fatigue because of Elysiana? He wants to push Tyler to a fatigue state in a position like this, where he has a bunch of pressure on the board. So if Tyler wants to play his Elysiana, then he has to play it facing down a ton of damage from the opponent. It's actually pretty smart on Roger's side.
Yeah. PED. Post-Elysiana damage.
Exactly.
Very common phrase. Just a note, though, let's just talk about these.
I just want to clarify, there is another meaning of that, which we're not accusing Roger of in any way.
Actually, don't know what that is, so I can't accuse of someone I don't know what it is. I'll be completely honest, no clue what you're talking about. But yeah,
I'm just protecting your legal interests, right?
Oh, okay. I'm genuinely innocent. I meant Elysiana. I don't know what I've said.
I know you're very worried right now. It's not that big a deal.
Okay, cool. Woo! Sweat wiped off the brow. Let's continue. We'll note the first pick for Tyler was Brawl, so he's got 2 more Brawls in the bank now. Okay. Very, very important, actually.
Groms.
Yeah, and then Spirit of the Rhino.
Okay.
We won't talk about that one that much.
Okay.
It's kind of a whiff. There we go. Sultharaz.
Spirit of the Rhino. Devastate and Groms alongside the Brawls. Okay. Duly noted.
Thank you, observers. Definitely not a bad Elysiana at all for this situation.
Pretty good.
Really not bad. It could have been a lot worse.
But, you know, it goes back to the point where we had our little falling out earlier where, you know, that is a really good Elysiana, right? But it's still a bad deck. You know, that's not a deck that you build in your deck builder and go, oh, yeah, I'm happy with this. Like, let's go. So, you know, you can't really expect Elysiana to do too much for you a lot of the time.
I've got a question for you. I'm embarrassed I don't know the answer because I feel like I should.
Go on.
If Brawl hits this board,
and
let's just say the Ursatron lives.
Okay.
Do the Death Rattle summon in order of the order they're on the board?
I think so, yeah. Okay. In the order they were played.
Yes, well, okay, but not the order they're placed.
Oh, no, I think the order they were put into play is the order that they happen. Yeah.
Just because it's interesting, just with the Brawl into Super Collider, you could potentially snipe 2 7/7s with the Collider afterwards. I was just wondering, because sometimes I actually just never really considered. Because you don't see a board of this many Death Rattles that often, to be honest.
Right.
Okay, like I said, though, the snipe specifically on the Cairn, that's like the weak point.
Yeah.
The Dynomatic finally had his day. No matter what happens, that card does end up being good.
Take that Cairn out your deck. It sucks against Warrior. Just get sniped by Dynomatic.
You tell me you're trying to beat Warrior and you put a Cairn in your mech deck?
Jeez.
So now, though, you know, funnily enough, there isn't a way for these tutus to be procced if Tyler just never plays a minion.
Tyler's entire deck is brawls. That's kind of my issue.
No, yeah, I'm just saying Tyler can maybe hold off,
Sure.
depending on what these hero. He doesn't have to just snap removal, removal.
Interesting in terms of Super Collider positioning as well, that Roger keeps separating these tutus. He doesn't want them to clash with each other because of like Super Collider Brawl as a 1-2 punch, for example, can then be a pretty effective board clear.
Right. Wonder if actually Warpath Brawl go for the Dream.
Wondering how much stock Tyler is putting into Warpathing his Grom, or whether he just wants to wait for the right hero power to go with it to activate it.
To do what, though?
I mean, push damage, end the game. He's going to have to at some point.
Sure. I mean, if he Warpath Brawls now, though, he could end up just facing down a 3-3.
Sure.
Or 3-1, should I say, if we're going to be technical.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, at this point, Tyler might have to do a bit of a risky biscuit play.
That's fair.
To win the game, because we can see Roger's actually not got much, considering Tyler's draws are actually decent, along with Collider, along with potential lucky hero powers.
Yeah. The problem is that even though he's a few cards ahead in Fatigue, he'll probably end up being behind in Fatigue just because of the health deficit that he's facing down. He will probably die first, so he is going to have to look for some kind of way to end the game.
It's very important about how Dr. Boom decides to press his buttons, basically.
And what actually might come into play, tiny chance of coming into play, is I believe that's an explosive trap that Roger played a few turns ago, which means potentially... Never mind.
Yep.
Forget all that.
He gives up.
I was going to set up some miracle world where both of Tyler's Groms got to do max damage because the first one runs into an explosive trap, shield slam or whatever else. Like it's just kind of G. Once they're down a removal against your
Omega
deck,
Assembly, not on 10.
Sure, yeah.
It's like, ha-ha! You get the mech that's the 2/4 need to cast a spell to attack.
Yeah.
But like honestly, I'm not saying it's the best turn in the world, but if you just look at this board and you could play the Unseen Saboteur, well, maybe that's just a win. It's a bad board for you. You've got so much value in hand.
Roger
just get the spells out.
You didn't need that.
Here we go.
Did you?
And it's going to be the scheme for 7.
This didn't look like a good turn for Roger.
I think it's fine.
I'm unclear on to why we think this is a good thing.
Because now there's only one scheme left in the deck.
Okay. But you don't have the board, and you're mage, and you're terrible at recovering the board.
Khadgar, Power of Creation, disagrees.
Sure.
Also, just roaster into Conjurer's Calling. I think doing it before turn 10 with this hand seems fine.
Okay.
Because you can even expect Tyler to have the second one because he's pretty deep in his deck.
Yeah.
But has he had, that one was, what, 7? Like, has he had a second one for longer? And if it's less than that, well, okay, he has to wait even longer to clear a big board.
This Ooze is getting played as well, right?
I don't see why not.
But yeah, going back to it, I think explicitly because he has Khadgar in his hand, I'm okay with it. Okay. Because Khadgar is one of the kind of bootleg ways that you can recover board, just by making a board way too big than your opponent over the top of it. So I guess it's reasonable in that scenario.
Small note as well, just so people know. 1 second, let's just watch. Windfury Harpies. Ooh. Just to note that Kragwa was played and the scheme was not given back because it wasn't
spells you played on your last
exactly.
turn.
I just want to just want to point that out. It's an interaction people probably haven't really seen.
Yeah.
Or most likely haven't.
It's always nice unpacking the magical box of Hearthstone coding to discover what's going to happen.
I wonder.
And how those I did say the Harpies mainly because I saw Windfury and was like, awesome. But the safeguards now are just, this almost locks Tyler out of his niche outs because there's just so much to punch through.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about the safeguard. I think they are just the best on board, just being taught minions. Fantastic. Right. Roger should know that Tyler got himself a Hex back, so if Tyler decides that no more Caligos, then
cool.
No big deal. But the thing I wonder about is that the things that are going to be left behind on board are kind of taking up a little bit of unnecessary board space for Roger if Tyler can afford to leave them there.
Yeah, I wonder, I guess my question is, if Tyler leaves them there, then what does Tyler do to win? Because he has to remove them at some point.
Sure.
And then Roger goes, thank you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just to note, actually, I did briefly touch on Crowd Roaster earlier. No other dragons in hand, actually, so it can't. Its battle cry cannot go off. Which means just one option is reduced.
I feel like this is the turn to say go for Roger.
Malachus.
Like, this just feels like the Khadgar turn to me, because you've seen one scheme get used. The second scheme, if it's not in hand already, will be drawn very soon and start building up. So for me, this is the turn to make the game-winning board that your opponent cannot deal with. Roger sees it exactly the same way. He's just going to try and get himself a big old pile of Death Wings. Close enough.
Okay. Now the big question is, Roger got rid of the scheme that would have been big enough to clear this board.
Yep,
I want to point that out with the Saboteur.
Absolutely correct. It would have been exactly 9 this turn, I believe.
And I believe Tyler's scheme that he has in hand is not 9. I think it's like 5?
4.
Oh, 4. Sorry. Oh, good. Good head count. I like it. Fair play. I'll give you that one. But yeah, I mean, that's... Roger may have won the game regardless of that outcome, but that Saboteur did work, Sol.
Yep, no argument. It sure did.
Suddenly, Tyler just plays Shudder Walk and hope it does that thing where it used to win games when you played it.
That ain't it.
Sorry, I just felt the low power of that Shudder Walk deep in my soul
Alex
right there.
Strasser off the top is going to end the series.
Roger just making...
This works too, I guess.
Either way, the series is... I was like, wait, no!
Whoa. Does that work? 6-14, 16-30? No, Ziliax 16. Yeah, no, Ziliax is lethal. Ziliax ping is also lethal.
Okay.
Yeah.
That looks like it's all going face to me, Sottle, and Roger's lineup had its first test and it passed with flying colors, 3-0 over Tyler. And the big question now is Roger just going to stomp through this group, beating up on the Control Warriors?
Well, let's contextualize this a bit, right? Because there are things we could have learned from this series and things that were useless. If Tyler had just queued Warrior 3 times and lost 3 times, we would have learned nothing. We basically have no analysis to give, right? We'd be able to say Roger's decks do the one thing that is very obvious that they do.
Next match is the third match of the day. A83650 is going to fight against justsaiyan. Okay, gentlemen, please shake your hands. Please come to the center. Okay, good luck. Please take a seat.
Is on a mid-range to aggro shaman that TJ and I have been having debate about which one it more accurately is. It says mid-range shaman, but I'm telling you, it's aggro.
Pretty much everything that runs minions that cost less than 3 are an aggro deck to that's admirable. So it's not too much of a surprise that he considers it an aggro deck.
Threat from 8 damage against this Walking Fountain as well. So the Sea Giant's first attack has to attack the Walking Fountain next turn.
Yeah, and if Just Saying picks up, let's just say, any card in his deck, which he's guaranteed to.
Imagine if you drew a card every turn.
Yeah, that's a card in his deck.
Wow, major pickup. He drew a card.
That draws a card.
That's 2 cards.
All right, well, okay.
That is easily the weakest card at this point, but there's still a second copy of that left. This game is not over yet. A8 can still win from this position because Saiyan is running out of quality cards. There's a Witch's Brew. There's 2 copies of Hagatha's Scheme. There's an Archmage Vargoth. There's a Hecklebot.
1 copy of Hagatha's Scheme?
Has he used a Hagatha's Scheme this game?
Yeah.
He did. He used it
on
early
the
on,
Sun
correct.
River War Mage board.
The Hecklebot, however, has gone way up in value at this point. There is no big stuff left in A8's deck. Oh, Feral Spirit gets drawn. Extra stuff is mighty good right now.
Oh, yeah.
And every opportunity to make more minions and keep the board stable is a big deal. And now A8 has so many minions in play that Saiyan needs to be able to wipe the board. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
27.
plus 15. A8 can draw for lethal next turn. But what can he draw? Lightning Bolt? There's one copy of Lightning Bolt left? Is there two? There can't be two.
No.
I'd be losing my mind. I didn't think I was going to take notes this game because I didn't think it was going to go this long.
Okay. Whew.
I don't think you Bloodlust here in A8's spot. And now him holding that, now what do you think, TJ? Do you think he couldn't go long this game? I told you this deck does not run out of gas. It's good.
You called it an aggro deck.
It is an aggro deck. It's a good aggro deck. I'll tell you what, this is not the Shaman game I expected, but it's the Shaman game I wanted.
So a couple things. Saiyan has 5 cards left. He has a 1 in 5 to draw Walking Fountain. If you don't Bloodlust this turn, Walking Fountain cleans up the 2 3s, puts Saiyan back up to nearly full health, and your Bloodlust just lost a ton of value.
He's going up to 12 either way if you use the Bloodlust this turn. I'm sorry, he'll go up to 11. Oh, so that's an interesting point then. A8 knows that Saiyan's hand is some combination of Witch's Brew and Hagatha's schemes. He absolutely knows that's the case. So Hex will eliminate 8 damage from this board. You get to heal up for 12 more. I think that's got to be the play. And then you're under threat of 22, so you're still not dead from that spot. But the options are getting thin at this point. You absolutely want to opt to keep the 0 cost 1 because obviously you're going to 30 from Witch's Brew this turn. Thunderhead gets drawn. Big pickup.
The problem is A8's max damage with Bloodlust, even if he plays Thunderhead this turn,
7 plus 21.
it's not lethal from 30.
But Saiyan's got to heal to 30.
He's got to heal to 30, that's correct. And that's why I kind of like the Thunderhead in this position because it does threaten lethal if he doesn't heal.
Archmage Vargoth, Hecklebot, Hagatha's Scheme, and 1 more card is left for
Walking
Saiyan.
Fountain.
And Walking Fountain. Those are the 4 cards left. So Hagatha's Scheme doesn't affect really any of this. It wipes a Toad off board. Walking Fountain gets drawn. And so now, that's going to kill some minions. Voltaic Burst, that helps kill more minions. But A8 has ways to fight back against this. Has a Hex for the Fountain. Has Zap plus the Thunderhead. He has ways to keep fighting in this position. Saiyan is not out of the water yet.
So, and the problem for Saiyan is once this goes to fatigue, he has no way to generate anything else, whereas A8 can just toad him up every turn and eventually kill him. The problem is he's at 5 health and has no way to heal. So he's only got 3 turns once it does hit fatigue. But honestly...
3 turns is enough, I'm pretty sure.
It might be. So right now he has...
And Lightning Bolt drawn now means that a full board is threat of lethal from 30. Excuse me, it would not be because there's no 2 attack minions in play.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
So right now it's 21 or 22 damage burst.
So we're looking at Zap, attack the Walking Fountain with the minion, roll a totem.
I wonder.
And hit face.
And Saiyan still has 2 minions left in the deck, plus a Hagatha Scheme. So
yeah, the scheme here is starting to become a little bit more impactful because there's 2 1-health minions in play, and this will make a 3rd 1-health minion. And with the Voltaic Burst, that wipes out a lot of the board. So even Hagatha's Scheme is a reasonable draw in this spot. This game is nuts.
lethal presented with Bloodlust plus Lightning Bolt, I think that's exactly 35 on board, plus the 21, that's 26, plus the 4 damage from the Lightning Bolt because of the Spell Power Totem. So
right.
If Just Saying were to do nothing this turn, he would die. And he needs to know this. Only 2 cards left. the odds that he has Bloodlust and Lightning Bolt at this point are pretty high, and I don't think you're going to risk the game for that kind of scenario.
Honestly, I think the way that A8's hand has played out, it's pretty darn close to 100% of the time. You know, it's a hand reading measure that goes into that, but you're pretty darn close to 100%. So I think this has to be the play, and you have to rely on your Heckle bot.
I'm almost out of cards.
And whatever you get, the Archmage Vargoth. The Vargoth could be a big deal as well, depending on what comes out of the Hagatha. Ethereal Lackey gets picked up. Major draw for A8. The Stormbringer with 7 mana up. No! Are you kidding me? And look at A8. He's not sure what he wants to do with it because there's a chance. Is there any chance this goes awry with Stormbringer?
3 Baron-Geddons, he dies.
So there is a chance that A8 can lose from his own Stormbringer. I'm curious if you need to go for this. There is a Baron-Geddon. Saiyan can get a Lightning Bolt from Hagatha next turn.
Cards.
Or Lava Burst.
But it opens the out. Rockbiter weapon would do it. In fatigue now is A8, but Saiyan doesn't have a way to deal any damage. If A8 cannot kill Saiyan next turn, which he clearly absolutely can, he would lose to his own Baron-Geddon.
Wow.
Saiyan needed 2 more damage to win this game. 2.
It would have been the Totemic Smash, I don't know, the 1 mana.
Totemic Smash, that would have won as well.
Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt.
It like quadrupled the outs in the situation it was in.
Wow.
But it doesn't matter because A8 has got the juice.
On the very last turn.
Massive damage.
What the?
Insane start to this series.
I mean, at that point, it was just 2 Baron-Geddons that would have lost in the game. 1 Baron-Geddon away. What an insane game. An insane finish.
Bravo. I meant to use the zap.
Hey, man, you okay?
I meant to use the zap here.
You all right?
Is that good? 3-point lightning storm. What does that mean? Did I break it?
When you show your friend Hearthstone for the full time, and they just get the stone cold nuts every game, and they keep showing you their phone and saying, "Is this good?" That's just saying.
What's this weird border around these cards in Arena? This is the 3rd time it's happened.
Is killing your opponent on turn 4 good?
I've only done it like 5 times so far. You've been playing for 2 hours. Yeah, I mean, he's got to start working on this.
Time to giddy up. Got Shadow Step in hand, so this is triple Leroy territory.
Yeah, and so, you know, A8, and kind of talking about the Walking Fountain earlier, this is exactly the scenario creating. Don't put minions in play. Don't let Walking Fountain be a big deal. And now you look back to that Witch's Brew that was used. I'm getting nervous. I'm getting awfully nervous because A8 has a lot of damage in hand right now. Leroy plus the Kobold Lackey, that's 8 right there. You Grim Rally off the Lackey, that's 9 damage on the Leroy. The Shadow Step makes that 15 damage, and then the Eviscerate makes that 19 damage.
Saiyan is the Grim Rally.
Yeah, Saiyan is under threat of lethal in this spot. Without healing, he's dead. Wow! Witch's Brew!
But does he go for it? That's the thing.
Yes, absolutely! That is a huge draw for Saiyan. You absolutely use Witch's Brew in this spot. No question about it. There's no doubt in my mind.
But
if you don't Witch's Brew in this spot, why did you show up to the World Championship?
But do you Totemic Might?
Probably not.
You absolutely Totemic Might here. If you don't Totemic Might here, why would you show up to the World Championship?
I'm never going to forget this cast. We're getting hyphy. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to karate chop someone right now.
Please don't. I'm the only one within your vicinity. All right, so now how do you win? One copy of Shadow Step in A8's deck, and he's got it in his hand already, so his maximum damage is pretty much in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, things just got quite bad.
Yeah, no High Spear and Togwaggle as well. So no ability to kind of run away with things. He's played both Hench Clan Burglars, so not a fantastic way to get additional value that way.
The way that I could see A8 winning is with Evil Miscreant. Evil Miscreant gets an Ethereal Lackey. Ethereal Lackey finds a Vanish. You use the Ethereal Lackey and Leroy in the same turn, vanish everything back to hand, and then you have Leroy and Ethereal Lackey loaded for the following turn, and maybe, just maybe, you've drawn the other Eviscerate by that point and chipped away.
Yeah.
That's about it, though. I mean, that is a very long-winded scenario.
Yeah, Daring Escape would work in that scenario as well.
The issue I think with Daring Escape is that your opponent might have enough pressure on board. Like, say Saiyan just decides to play a Walking Fountain here, which I think is quite reasonable. If he does that, what that means is A8 is going to be pretty forced to make something happen. Even just like generic minion pressure alone would probably be enough to do it. And now Saiyan's finding damage from Hagatha as well. So A8 is really in trouble in this spot. Probably going to have to wipe out this Walking Fountain.
What's the most efficient way to do it with stuff that doesn't go face? Backstab, Vendetta.
Oh, yeah.
Lackey, maybe?
I'd probably just use the Underbelly Fence.
Yeah.
It's not pretty, but again, the key is that you're going to have to maximize your damage from hand. And maybe that's impossible, and you need to fight for board in some capacity. Maybe it's a spot where you end up using Eviscerate, and you start fighting for board with Backstab and the Lackey and the Underbelly Fence. This is another one of the reasons why Underbelly Fence is in here. But this plan just doesn't work. Saiyan's got the goods to take this down. And now that he's seen that damage used, that he's seeing this damage hit board, that he's seeing this chip damage not go face, he's feeling super good about this one.
Yeah, AA recognizing that his only way to win with having to expend these resources is to stick a board and get recurring damage. And hope that Just Saiyan has a handful of Totemic Mites.
Yeah, that just doesn't work really well.
No, it doesn't.
You can see how this Shaman deck is meant to tackle aggressive builds. Yeah. It's by attacking them back. And as soon as they do something to push back, you blow up their whole board.
Yeah, and Bargoth plus Feral Spirit here.
Some good.
Build your own Rainatoads, effectively. Bootleg Rainatoads.
This one's actually kind of better.
It's better. You overload for 4, but you get 1 extra attack plus a little bit of extra total health and attack. Ooh, actually, it's the same amount of health, just a little bit of extra total attack.
I was trying to think if Electra could do any. Oh yeah, this is desperate times.
Yep.
I'm actually curious what card, like maybe like Hagatha. Does he got his own Hagatha? Could that ever do anything?
Stormbringer.
Rare. This is a rare concede situation that we've seen from players who are not in total out of the game, just very far behind. But expend and eviscerate this turn. I think if I'm in Saiyan's spot, I'm looking at eviscerate Evil Miscreant, attack the Magic Carpet with the Waggle Pick. Yes, because a Miscreant in hand is worth a lot on board. However, you do have the option for the Greenskin. I wasn't really thinking about the Greenskin and just attacking the Juggler.
He would need to draw a runner 1-drop.
That's not necessarily true, I don't think.
To deal with the Greenskin.
Soulfire?
Soulfire, yeah, but he's already seen 1 Soulfire. I think it's obviously more likely that he draws.
1-drop in Direwolf Alpha? I mean, I think that this Greenskin has a lot of backfire implications.
But 1-drop in Direwolf Alpha means that we'd have to trade in the damage from the Magic Carpet, which means he doesn't protect it on board. Oh, no, he doesn't. He trades in the Scarab Egg and then plays the Argent Squire to trade over the Captain Greenskin.
Correct.
It's exactly 4 damage. He still is able to push 2 with the Magic Carpet and keep it at 6 health with 3 1/1s and now, a 2/1 and a Direwolf.
And now I'm worried for Saiyan because the Miscreants are delayed. I think the sooner you get the Lackeys, the sooner you have major board implications. And I think that sacrificing the Waggle Pick and the Greenskin value is smarter because this is the style of play that Zoo wants to prey on. It's your opponent plays 1 card and you play 2.
Yeah. Now, Saiyan does have double Phantom Knives in his deck, which is not always the case with these more aggressive Tempo Rogue lists.
First. There we go.
The light protects me.
Strong technical play throughout the series, honestly. Like, I have to commend them on this because I think that in this series, it's the strongest technical play that we've seen thus far. So now Saiyan has Eviscerate, Evil Miscreant, Waggle Pick Attack, and either use another Miscreant or a Lackey. And so he has a number of options this turn.
Yeah, he's very likely to get a Lackey that deals with the Magic Carpet. He needs the Rush or the 2 damage.
So he gets the Miscreant first, obviously.
All right, well, didn't get either of them.
Ethereal Lackey can find Backstab or it can find Preparation. And honestly, bouncing the Ethereal Lackey is pretty close to bouncing the Miscreant in this spot.
Yeah.
He's going to go for Faceless, though, which means he's not using the pick this turn. I'd be pretty shocked if he used the pick there.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at Grim Rally being big. Sea Giant's a big draw. I think that the tempo turn with the green skin might have set Saiyan back just enough to be able to lose this game.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Sea Giant. The Sea Giant's one cost because of the exact reduction. That is a massive deal. That is such a big deal right now. And honestly, 8-8, I think at this point, I mean, he's just so far ahead. Saiyan needs to pick up Fan of Knives.
He needs Fan of Knives and Sap off the Ethereal Lackey.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, 8-8, take your time here. You have plenty of time left in this turn, and you need to figure out how on earth iterations go that you lose this game.
Yeah, I think he's got Phantom Knives on his mind, so I don't know if he wants... okay.
I don't think he... right now, I think 8-8's going, my opponent could draw Phantom Knives, but I know they don't have it right now. So I need to maximize immediately and kill them before they draw it.
Yeah.
The Magic Carpet's done its job. So you don't care about the
would have
Waggle
come
pick.
down on the previous turn.
Yes, absolutely.
Almost certainly.
Thug, not a good draw right now. Ethereal Lackey can get Phantom Knives, though.
Nothing.
Not it.
Can deal with the Sea Giant.
Float 2 mana.
Well, he can attack with the pick and get the Ethereal Lackey again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Eviscerate in this spot.
In fact, he could attack first and recheck with the Lackey.
Yeah, I imagine you're going to go for an Edwin situation here. Something to note is that 8-8's board is actually full. I was curious if the 5 damage to face could have been better there specifically for Edwin. Walk the Plank doesn't work because the Sea Giant had Rush.
It had Rush!
That is a massive deal.
What? You said it was a big deal already because it was able to attack over the 1/5 and keep that around. But this just makes it even that much better. The fact that Saiyan would be able to walk the plank.
He's going for the Togwaggle scheme here because the only way that he's going to get out of this is Edwin Van Cleef. Eviscerate, create the 0-3 taunt for some extra health. You scheme back the Ethereal Lackey, not a bad draw. You jam an Edwin Van Cleef on board.
How big is it? 12-12?
It's very
10-10.
large.
Is it large enough?
Abusive Sergeant, Bloodsail Corsair. Pretty low quality turn here.
Wait, that's 10. That's 13 damage to face?
Get in there and fight, man.
Yeah, Grim Rally would have ended it here. Direwolf Alpha would have ended it here. Evil Genius had a chance to end it here. There's a lot of draws in 8-8's deck that are pretty darn large right now.
So he's got to trade over this 1/1.
So the thing I'm thinking about is if 8-8 leaves up a 10-10 Edwin, what combinations does he actually die to?
That's what I was saying.
He dies to Leroy Shadow Step in that instance.
And if he doesn't clear off this 1/1, he dies to Leroy Eviscerate. So I think...
I wonder if you can justify killing the Edwin in this spot. Like, can you kill the Edwin and still win an equal percent chance of time here? I don't think so.
I think you kill the 1/1 and then you play around Leroy Eviscerate.
Yeah, I think Leroy Eviscerate's what you can play around, so that's what you do play around. And at this point, the attacks have been made, so there's only one thing left to do. And second Henge Clan Thug is drawn, 8-8. is on the verge of winning here. I cannot think of how the lackeys win this game, but by golly, it seems like there's always a chance. If you got two drop lackeys,
or double ethereal lackey and and get prep Phantom Knives.
wow, so close to being able to stabilize. 1 extra point of damage. The magic carpet on the Sea Giant meant so much this game. It's unbelievable.
It's absurd how much it means.
2-1 lead over Saiyan.
And I said it earlier, these players, when I asked them backstage, they said 51% to 49% in Just Saiyan's favor. That's how close even they thought this series was as far as matchups were concerned.
A lot of pressure going this turn.
He's tapping for that Grim Rally.
Yeah, I mean, Grim Rally is really, I think, the reason that Saiyan started life tapping last turn. And so here, Microtech Controller puts A8 in that situation where it's like, you need to have something because this is scary.
No spells in hand for that prep.
If he had prep last turn,
would have been quite a bit better.
But this is a nice reasonable turn 6. You have
Prep Animal Companion SI7
yeah,
agent?
I mean, oh wow, the Animal Companion. In my head, this is just always a minion.
Prep Animal Companion SI7 agent would...
Well, Underbelly Fence. You want to use the Underbelly Fence here, I believe.
Huh.
I think justifying a dagger up is tough because I definitely want to prep Animal Companion this turn.
This is a... Yeah, the Underbelly Fence because he's used a Hench Clan Burglar. He doesn't have another raiding party. He has no other Hench Clan Burglars or Blink Foxes in his hand currently. You're right. I think this would be maybe the last opportunity he'll ever have to rush the Underbelly Fence. While Prep Animal Companion into SI7 agent is...
You can shadow step the Underbelly Fence here too. I think it's very reasonable. And so if you're going to do that, the dagger makes a little bit more sense. Because now you can still draw Vendetta, and you can still draw another Underbelly Fence to make sense of this. But I think overall, this is a stronger spot.
Oh yeah, this is much more powerful. Much more powerful.
All right, well, Juggler, this is what Saiyan has really saved it for. A lot of times players play Juggler on turn 2, hoping to get a snowball payoff from it. I think oftentimes it's much wiser to save it for situations just like this one.
This is insane. He gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potential juggles. He won't have board space for that.
It's a lot of juggles.
So he's going to get 6 juggles, it looks like. Because he pops up in this Scarab Egg, he gets 3 from that.
Yeah, so
he got 1 from the Abusive Sergeant.
He should have led with Life Tap because of that. Oh boy, that's a massive draw. Oh my. Oh my. A8. This might lose him the game right here. This is ridiculous. This is not good for A8.
So it's trade Grim Rally.
Almost out of time.
I think you might Grim Rally first.
To get the extra juggle?
Well, you get the chance to juggle, but more importantly, your Mecharus actually kill the board in this situation because you're not worried about... Wow! You're not worried about Phantom Knives in that spot anymore. And that's the sequencing you're going for. You maximize juggles into play.
You said it before, the technical play in this game, the last turn from A8, finding the most optimal way to clear the board or to get it as best of a board position as possible. Then this turn, just saying finding the sequencing with the rope burning to have the maximum potential for him to clear the board.
I'm not 100% certain that was max, but, you know, my
wait.
quick crazy math says it was. Your opponent needed a point of damage in that spot. A8, if he goes face twice.
So point of damage is only Soulfire. His board is full.
Grim Rally as well.
Grim Rally as well, okay, fair point. So 1 Grim Rally, 1 Soulfire.
And so in this instance, Saiyan would have gotten it. But to go on that point, 2 Waggle Pick hits to face would drop Saiyan to 17 and then to 13. If you pick up a Leroy with that, you don't have the mana to use it and the SI7 agent.
The SI7 agent costs 1.
Right, so he would have to SI7 agent that turn with the Waggle Pick, and he'd have to go face with the SI7 agent in that instance. If you're playing the SI7 agent, it means your opponent can trade in and then play additional minions.
You're right.
So then the extra outs for lethal go up to Evil Genius, to Direwolf Alpha, to another Knife Juggler, basically any minion in the deck because there's a Knife Juggler in play.
Yeah. He would have been 1 damage off.
Correct.
And so just saying, with a full board, wouldn't have tapped, most likely, because he would have been thinking about those breakpoints because of that. So yeah, I do like the trade. It makes sense. Either way, he has a very low chance of winning the game.
Oh yeah, it's a nigh impossibility at the stage you got to, and that's that Fan of Knives that you need it right away to try to get your opponent to go wide on board and then capitalize a Fan of Knives.
Yeah.
In this matchup, it's been very clear that Saiyan has been focused on landing a Grim Rally the turn that he goes wide on that board. And so that's where the Microtech controller allows him to extend in instead, and the Mecharoos allow him to also put the test to that as well.
Yeah. So his outs there were Blink Fox into Shriek.
Well, hang on a second. Second SI7 agent is a massive draw for A8, where now he gets to wipe out Knife Juggler, Waggle Pick gets to put this SI back in hand, and you get to SI again. So you're dropping low, but there's a chance.
So Soulfire's gone.
This guy's toast.
He doesn't have Leroy. No Magic Carpets.
Wow.
Microtech controller, though.
That's such a big deal at this stage, too. It's just number of bodies, and there's no Fan of Knives left.
And that
lets him play the Sea Giant
package!
This is the package they were trying to create because the 3 mana that you invest in a Microtech controller pays off to the Sea Giant. It's very akin to the way that the Happy Ghoul healing decks were built. Game 5! Honestly, at this point, Edwin's a big one as well. Just the fact that you can get such a large Edwin from this position makes all the difference in the world. And honestly, I think the reason that A8 went for this 2-3 is because he saw one of the Fan of Knives expended, knew that Backstab wasn't going to be a clean kill on it unless Saiyan had Fan of Knives number 2. Miscreant gets picked up. Major draw. 2 Faceless Lackeys picked up. Saiyan going in. Millhouse Mana Storm. You get a 4/4 for 1 mana off of a Battle Cry of a Battle Cry. It's a lot of stuff you start putting together.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
And so Saiyan had to slow himself down. He was ready to just start going in with these lackeys and went, hey, you know what? I need to spend mana. I don't have that prep anymore. I need to keep working on my opponent's life total. I think very wise to slow down right there and just push the damage. Yeah. You know where that Eviscerate's going to be aimed. Spend the mana now. Don't put the pressure on yourself later. I'll tell you what, Hench Clan Burglar would have been a pretty spicy draw this turn. Able to get development, you know, an X Factor card perhaps, and then have the Vendetta be for free.
But right now, he's got no valuable target for Waggle Pick to hit. Dread Corsair is just really awkward with that card. Acidic Swamp Ooze isn't even going to hit a target. Like, it's just completely useless. Both these cards don't have any immediate impact on the board.
And that's really the thing with the Waggle Pick from the Burgle side, is Saiyan can actually take advantage of it better because A8's damage wants to, you know, kind of contain the board until he hits an inflection point. He's been stranded with this in play instead. You know, what's he really going to do from here? And the Miscreant is so threatening right now.
Has to use a 4-mana Vendetta to kill that minion that was summoned from a Battle Cry of a Battle Cry.
Yeah, this is not pretty. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. This game's about to end real quick.
See what's in the box. Not Millhouse Mana Storm territory. And honestly, if I'm saying here, I'm probably using the Deadly Poison here to bait out the Ooze.
I think he's
But Dagger Up Sousy Deckhand is also just pretty good. But
yeah, I definitely agree with you on the poison to bait out the Ooze in this spot because you followed up with the Waggle Pick. And that's just a damage overload at this point, and I don't think A8 comes back from here.
Yeah.
Well, X Factor card. None of them work.
Nope. Nothing good.
Prep Master Spell and Hope? I mean, what do you even draw at this point?
Edwin Van Cleef is just not enough. I mean, there's might even be lethal damage on Saiyan's side of the board if he doesn't have a decent impact right now.
Saiyan's got 8, 9. He's got 11 in play. You can turn that to 8, and you're at 12. So you've got to kill multiple minions this turn. You can't do it with your face. You can get back the burglar, maybe find something else.
It's 2 mana, so you have 2 mana left. Ooze is free, but
you got to do something. I mean, it's desperate times.
Yeah. You can probably expect that there's another Waggle Pick in hand since Saiyan just went with the
Consecration. Now, is Consecration better than Explosive Trap? And I think it is because you get the discount on it.
Whoa.
And you get the immediacy, so your 4/3 stays in play. So X Factor turns out to be a real deal in this spot. I think I want to ooze the web.
The problem is, I'm pretty sure he has just a hard read that Waggle Pick is in the hand because of how Just Saiyan just played Raiding Party on 3 with coin in hand.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, this is going to draw 2 Dread Corsairs.
That's horrible for you. You need another X Factor. You need it now.
It's my X Factor, and I need it now.
Master Spell silences off the taunt. That kills the greenskin for you. You have Eviscerate. That'll kill the greenskin for you. How on earth do you get out of this spot? I don't know. Vendetta for free. I think you got to draw again. I just don't. SI7 agent. Oh, I need 1 more mana. Down to 8. No ooze left. Myra's drawn.
It doesn't even matter.
Hit dagger up. That wins. It's lethal.
Oh, yeah, because he bounces it back.
Saiyan, in a crazy 5-game series, is going to take down A8 in the initial match, move on to the winner's match, and send A8 down to that elimination spot.
The next match is the 5th match of day 2, and the match is going to be Bloodyface versus Viper. Okay, gentlemen, please come to the center and shake your hands with each other. Okay, good luck. Please take a seat.
You guys that just watch the segments, interviewing them is Viper versus Bloodyface. Bloodyface has a Tempo Rogue, Control Warrior, Midrange Hunter, and Summoner Mage, with the Rogue being banned. Viper with an unusual Miracle Rogue, very similar to Bunny Hopper's lineup. That also got banned. Zoo Warlock, Midrange Hunter, and Summoner Mage. So very similar in terms of the 3 decks remaining.
Trying to draw. That is 5, 12, just 12, and there's 15 life for Bloodyface. Zul'jin here will give him
2. There's 2 Unleash the Beast.
2 Unleash the Beast.
There's a Dire Frenzy.
There's a Dire Frenzy, depending on the order he hits these. Tracking. There's a Master's Call as well. Well, there's Dire Frenzy. All right, so Vader to the face is pretty big.
Geez.
One of these is getting Dire Frenzied. Deadly Shot goes off.
Oh,
and it even hits the Ethereum Rover, so there's no armor gain for Bloodyface. Master's Call. Let's pick up an 8/8 rush for 5. That's 13 from hand with just the Wyvern and the Thunder Rhino next turn. And this board is left.
Yes. Ziliax, nice pickup. but it's just nice. It's not what Bloodyface needed exactly. He can clear everything with the Warpath hero power, but is he dead if he just does that?
He is at 13 and go to 15. Wyvern plus Thunder Rhino is
close.
13, and there's another Thunder Rhino in the hand. But we see here, this game, how it has played out. This is why the Hunter deck is such a strong favorite over Control Warrior in
Mech Reno Paladin?
Yeah. I mean, we see players who are trying to beat Warrior, specifically Control Warrior at least, in this tournament have been able to have quite a bit of success.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how important it was for Bloodyface to even just have that lack of proactive game plan here. And it turns out it's extremely important because he's not able to actually present any threat, and doesn't like he's going to run the Hunter out of resources anytime soon.
Oh, no. No, Viper's not running out of resources. He still has a Dire Frenzy in his hand. I mean, he's attacking for 2 damage off lethal next turn. Thunder Rhino plus Wyvern, 13U. Yep. And Viper's not one to typically make these snap plays, but this is a pretty clear one. I will bring you down to 1 life, your turn, and look at my hand.
Bloodyface has some pretty decent life gain with the Demolisher and Ziliax and the Weapons Project, but that seems like it's delaying the inevitable. And if he goes for a Hail Mary, say a Town Crier Brawl, he goes up, and let's say he wins that, he might still be dead anyways to a follow-up Thunder Rhino push.
I mean, there's even the Axe Throw from Zul'jin here, so even if you were able to say Ziliax attack into a guy, brawl, win the brawl with Ziliax.
I mean, yeah, he needs this.
He needs this. He needs to win the brawl and then play Weapon Project's hero power. He did not win the brawl. He is dead. Yeah. And, we see with a relatively aggressive opening, and it's particularly powerful with the Scavenging Hyena. So I will suspect, okay, he's actually just going to go and play the Hyena and just push with all the damage to the face. Not going to take any kind of trades whatsoever. He's going to force Viper's hand here. Magic Carpet is the draw, but it's pretty weak against the board that Bloodyface has assembled.
Yeah, and the downside, of course, for Viper is that without direct hand buffs, minion buffs in his hand, such as Direwolf Alpha or Abusive Sergeant, this doesn't exactly spell a very ideal turn from Viper either.
Yeah, and Viper looks like he's going to play Flame Imp into Soulfire is his plan here.
I think that's the right call. You have to stop this Scavenging Hyena and the Timberwolves from running away with the game.
And he hopes to... oh, that's not good.
That's
and he wants the... Yes, okay. So for Viper's perspective, at least, he got the buff on the Imp. If he got the buff on the Egg, that could actually be actively detrimental because the Egg ending up getting the buff means that it's harder for him to get itself killed with a Abusive Sergeant. The Unleash the Hounds could be powerful here. Does decide to just fire off the kill command.
Yeah, I was thinking about popping the Egg and Unleash the Hounds and what implications that leads to.
Another Flame Imp, and this is one of the dangers of
oh my goodness!
And Direwolf Alpha is a really powerful draw here.
Wait. No, hold on. It sets up a big board for Unleash the Hounds to destroy.
It does. Well, he can Direwolf Alpha and at least just kill the Timberwolf if he wants to, which means that the Direwolf Alpha doesn't die on board.
Yeah. All right, I buy it.
It is, obviously against Unleash, this has the potential to be disastrous. If you use your Direwolf Alpha, attack into the 2-power minion, get your Egg killed, then Unleash the Hounds runs you over.
It's true. This looks tempting to pop the Egg, though. I'm not gonna lie.
It does. It absolutely does. From Viper's perspective, was there an opportunity to play Unleash prior to this? If it was that card in Bloodyface's hand,
yeah.
He's gonna go ahead and pop it. And I think from Viper's perspective too, he needs to do this, even if he can't give Bloodyface just as much time to draw Unleash to just continue to be able to pressure him. And even if he does have Unleash, does Bloodyface need to clear here? Bloodyface doesn't have enough damage to actually just end the game at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He's attacking for, 8, 9, 10, 11? Puts Viper to 7.
I like that.
Yeah, it might be good enough, because Viper doesn't have Grim Rally, but Bloodyface has to at least think about the possibility of what happens if he does.
Yeah, one kill command was used, though, so it's not like he could spray it. But
I would
the nice
expect
thing
to
is,
at least see the Direwolf Alpha die.
Yeah, I like Direwolf Alpha die and then face with everything else. I want to put pressure on the Zoo Warlock's life total, mainly to shut off their hero power possibilities.
Yeah.
That's a nice pickup.
Woodwalker is a very good draw, and these Scarabs will be able to at least take out the Timberwolf.
Yeah, but you're fighting a losing battle.
It's true.
So Viper, so his outs, so to speak.
Flamin really hurts here.
Flamin puts him in a position where he just dies the turn he plays Rafam because he's just 3 pure powers away.
Right.
And he can't end the game fast enough. So Flamin feels like it's just going to be an extra card for Rafam.
Get in there, fight, maggot.
He's got to buff it. Really kill that wolf.
Oh yeah, overkill. Unfortunately, no overkill stats on the Scarab.
Yeah, Viper wants a legendary off that imp.
Yeah.
Ooh, hog speed. Oh yeah. Snipe. All right. Well, Thunder Rhino is quite powerful. He can play the Thunder Rhino and clear off this board, which leaves Thunder Rhino. Well, he doesn't need to clear the board necessarily.
I like this weaving in of hero powers.
Yeah,
Next turn
okay.
you can Thunder Rhino hero power as well.
That's true. You get to use your hero power. You get to clear this anyway.
Yep.
Still end up with presence to the board and get the snipe down.
I think Viper plays his Witchwood Imp and then does nothing. Goes to show you just the importance of things like Magic Carpet to help stabilize the board. That snipe goes down, and Viper's just defenseless. Viper's dead.
Yep.
The turn he plays for Fam. I don't know if there's one thing to bail him out. There's no heal. We ditched the Voodoo Doctor a long time ago when Happy Ghoul rotated out.
And
Absolute steamroll.
Hunter picking up some quick wins.
You don't have to worry about your minions getting value traded constantly, which is what's happening.
Time runs out on me. What to do?
And Viper too. He's consolidating his board to 3 minions. He's playing around this MC tech. Is there really a way for Bloodyface to get back in this?
I think the double scale worm has to come down here.
Yeah.
It's all defense from this point on.
You can't play defense against the Houndmaster shot. You can't. You just can't get any foothold in the board as long as the card's in play.
It is not fair to say the least when you get the Houndmaster shot and you get all the initiative. I mean, we're talking about how Dr. Boom Mad Genius is great. Now you get a minion that gets to attack and keep that buff.
Unless you kill it, you gotta kill it.
Well, you could kill it. Viper has potential ways to even just like cement the game 100%. Fire Tree Witch Doctor picks up Burn. And he's weighing all of his options, and I like it. He's not rushing into things. He's thinking, okay, what are some possible ways that I lose from this spot because I'm so far ahead?
I feel like the Astromancer play is weighing on his mind in terms of I don't want to possibly get MC teched. If he gets MC Tech, say, takes Houndmaster Shah, then another big minion can come down and possibly clear off the rest of his board.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely something that Viper is worrying about here, and I think we may just see a single minion come down for that reason.
Unity, precision.
Yeah, I like it. He still sets up lethal. With a moment's hesitation, considers all the possibilities. He also knows that Bloodyface doesn't have Conjurer's Calling himself anymore because the second one got burned from the Book of Specters.
Right.
Therefore, he can't abuse that and then go for Mind Control Tech.
Rabble Bouncer, not a great defense.
I think Bloodyface might be just cornered here. The Rabble Bouncer plus Ziliax, I guess, is his best defense. That seems so bad.
I mean, there's no way to defend yourself with taunts against Houndmaster Shah. I keep saying it, but it's just true. Because, as long as your opponent just gets to play big things that can attack right away,
Okay.
you're just going to get killed.
But the alternative is to remove minions, and he can't remove enough. And Viper was calculating for the crowd roaster and things like, other removal tools. There's going to be 7 damage no matter how Bloodyface cuts it. He has to play taunts.
Yep.
And the nice thing, I guess, is that Ziliax at least gains life.
King Ziliax does keep him alive. Goes to 10.
So he thinks until Fire Tree Witch Doctor does something about that to maybe add damage to end the game. Fire Tree Witch Doctor can discover any burn spell. Not any burn spell, because Ziliax gains life. It can discover Fireball. Cinderstorm will also do the trick.
Well, Fireball won't actually end the game, right? He's at 10. And then the life steal of Ziliax.
Yeah, so the Fire Tree Witch Doctor trades in, and then you Fireball.
It's the third. Oh no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I was briefly forgetting about the rush.
After you were talking about it so much, I
was like, wait, what?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think the point is that Bloodyface is in desperation mode, and Viper. I mean, honestly, this Astromancer might be able to pick up like a charge minion and end the game.
I feel like right now Viper's just trying to avoid disaster. I feel like he is in a absolutely dominant position.
Yeah.
And he has any number of ways that he can try and win from here. And he's just trying to figure out, what is least susceptible to disaster.
My calculations are flawless.
Oh, okay.
That works too.
And now he's like, I'm going to make a board that, I'm not vulnerable anymore.
How are you going to do Shaw like that, man, after he was so good to you?
I know. He just came to hang out.
Heartless.
You did him dirty like that, just threw him to his death. He could have easily survived.
And now, Bloodyface, I think he's completely cornered. He's got nothing. If he plays Rabble Rouncer, he can't play the Crowd Roaster.
I wonder.
I don't see any way for him to get out of this game. At least not alive.
Arena's full. Beat it.
And I think with that, is that enough with the Dragon Maw Scorcher?
Yeah. Dragon Maw Scorcher.
Looks like it's going to be it. That was an explosive game, and Kibler, it is so appropriate that we're in a basketball stadium because I just watched a game of NBA Jam in Hearthstone. That one drop that he needs, then he's stuck either playing 2-2-1, which Magic Carp doesn't have that big of an effect, or he has to life tap again. And that means that Viper is fighting a losing battle because card for card, Bloodyface's deck goes better toe-to-toe than Viper's cards.
Yeah, the longer this game goes, certainly the more it is in Bloodyface's favor because he just gets to spend a bunch of mana doing very powerful things each turn, whereas Viper, he's tapping and hoping to find things that are sufficiently impactful, but a lot of his stuff is not that high impact. All right, no life tap this turn.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Viper so far.
Huh. Well, once again, Viper playing around, doesn't have an opportunity to play another thing, but keeping his board to 3 against the deck with double MC tech.
This is just loading up the board with, like, maximum threats. Like, Bloodyface would love to scale worm all 3 of these things down. Can only choose a couple, though.
Yeah. Bloodyface can kill the wolf or the Knife Juggler and Conjure's Calling this, but Conjure's Calling is going to get an average similarly sized minions, so I think he may hold on to that. He can also just kill both the Juggler and the Direwolf Alpha by attacking and using the Scale Worm.
Right.
Again, like, not many big things for Scale Worm in this matchup.
Yeah. I think killing the...
Okay, this turn he's going to go ahead and get the carpet.
Oh, wow. Woo, I don't know. When you come up on 6 and it can tap into double ones.
There's a Soulfire. Huh. That's actually kind of interesting because Soulfire, I don't know if you want to be discarding your Refam. maybe you need to be Refaming.
At this point, I feel like Refam would be your win condition because you're so far behind you can play it on curve. So if anything, Viper might just play Knife Juggler Flame Imp, get maximum juggles, ideally get the trades.
Right.
And then Refam. And then once you Refam, Magic Carpet can be free to go because you don't really have one drops.
I don't even one drops in my deck. What am I going to play? A Chameleos?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, is that the only 1-mana legendary in the rotation right now?
I think it is.
Like Shifter's Errors left a long time ago.
Yeah, I think those are the only 2 in Hearthstone other than Patches.
So many.
Oh, please do not remind me of that.
He didn't cost 1, he got 0.
Yeah.
Let's be real. All right, well, we're going to see Juggler into the Imp. One goes
That's
face.
not a juggle he wants.
Ooh, face again.
Okay, ends up panning out.
Yep.
Actually, in the ideal scenario. Yes, I want to see some Refam action. On the backside, Bloodyface being limited by the single dragon means he can't play Dragon Ball Scorcher for a little bit of time.
Well, he
can clear, though.
The Scale Worm draw means he can just Scale Worm ping.
Yeah.
So he can clear this entire board. He could just choose to play Fire Tree, but I think that, look like he's actually debating it. He's like, well, you didn't have another one that turn.
Yeah, he's like struggling at his one drop. So he's like thinking, what does he have?
What are the cards that make sense to be in your hand if they're not one drops?
And if it is Rafam, the Fire Tree Witch Doctor gets himself ahead of it so that he can trade into Rafam the next turn.
Yeah.
There's merit.
Ooh.
Solarium is
it's actually
interesting.
Because next turn you can Solarium and Rafam.
Right. And like increase your hand size significantly.
I don't know that you can wait.
But you still have 2 legendaries to play, and legendaries are fairly expensive right now.
Yeah, I feel like, and we see Viper thinking about it.
I'm not sure if I like waiting here.
I think that's the only card that you could draw that would really make you think. But I feel like you just give your opponent the turn to play a 7-drop. Your opponent can just play Astromancer, and then you're just behind, and Rafam isn't good. Yeah, I feel like you'd have to have such an incredibly powerful... You have to have, like, Talanji and a bunch of big things.
You know what it is?
And then you just lose to MC Tech.
You know what it is? The hypnosis of Solarium
really
Golden
is.
Animation is what's throwing him off. He's like,
All right, it is the arch villain Rafam.
Woo! I like that.
Heistburn Togwaggle, not so good if you don't have the ability to generate any lackeys, and I don't believe there's a legendary way to do so.
Yeah. Well, still, the point is that he's going to have pretty big things to play. I just like that, there's Malygos, and I don't think there's ways even to easily generate spells, though.
All right, what do you need? What do we need here? There's no, you can't get like Ronin.
Like Ysera? Ysera gives him stuff to use with Malygos.
Ooh, an egg. That's actually insane with Conjure's Calling. You can Calling that away.
Oh, wow.
You can get yourself an 8/8 and 2 5-drops.
I was thinking Ziliax, but Conjure's Calling is like super good with it.
Yeah. That's actually sick.
Sure. Yeah, because you don't have to worry about, yeah, you don't have to worry about the fact that he can't attack.
All right. Hexler Malacras.
Hey.
Whoa.
He gets a lot of card draw all of a sudden.
What did he have in his opening hand?
He had a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop.
But, but he loses. I mean, Heistburn, Togwaggle, and Malacras are both pretty weak. Malacras is probably good.
It gives him a Knife Juggler. It gives him a Crystallizer.
Are Knife Juggler, Crystallizer, and Magic Carbon even good here? I mean, this is your best tempo play is Hexler Malacras anyway.
Oh, the gang's back together again.
All right, well, I mean, hit him in the face.
That's 7 damage.
It's a lot of damage,
chunky.
There's a Book of Specters.
This game got really weird.
Yeah, all right. We're going to see the Book of Specters, of course. Crowd Roaster, not enough mana. Mountain Giant, powerful, but...
It's funny how Mossy Heart is not going to be effective against a deck full of legendaries.
Oh, Blizzard and Code of Cold are both very powerful when your opponent is spending a bunch of mana playing big things.
Yeah, I like Freeze. I don't think Power Creation is very viable now.
Yeah, I like the cheap Freeze here for sure.
And I do like that
Power of Creation on the egg, or rather Conjure Throat. There's an 8/8.
Oh no! Wait.
All right. Well, that's a 4/1. Gunk. Okay, now we need Jiraxis. Gunk Jiraxis. Just smash through everything.
What? Hit the Robos.
Well, we can see. Oh, he's gonna tap. All right. Face Collector. Right, so many legendaries, so little time.
I feel like I'm watching an old Total Biscuit video right now. Oh, if he lands this juggle on the 4/1 though.
Yeah, he's got the rush regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And he gets to push to 5 face damage. 15. He's at there's 15 showing on the board.
I feel like he almost just has to go face. Like, what's he gonna do, right?
Okay,
like,
he can draw Jan'alai and then go for the Ragnaros finish. Wait, how is that lethal?
15. He has 15, 16, 17, 18. That's lethal.
Just I think the Baron-Geddon is a
Baron-Geddon damage to face is lethal.
This is such a weird game.
This was pretty bizarre. We've had some crazy stuff happen in these Conjure Mage decks.
All right.
I'm happy we're seeing a Game 5. Because we're going to hopefully see another Rafam, and maybe someday Rafam will win a game. He could even Direwolf Abusive attack and then just Grim Rally.
Yes, and Grim Rally the Abusive Sergeant.
Send it to the face.
Yeah, like forget trying to make the Super Collider not kill anything, just pressure. I like it. You just see how devastating Grim Rally can be.
Yeah.
Also, that's a strong board. He has to brawl that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, this is a must brawl, and there's a dark possession and Kobold Lackey in the hand. Lackey's 2 damage at least.
So he has a Super Collider attack and then the brawl. There's no way for Viper to really play around that.
Right. Super Collider can definitely kill the egg, get the brawl off, but the brawl's going to leave very likely a sizable minion on the board. It's a 50-50 as to whether it leaves a 3-power minion or 1 or Bloody Faces.
Right. He can remove a 3/2 if he doesn't want to give that 1 out of 8 chance that the Militia Commander survives.
And I think it's better. You're giving your opponent 1 fewer good outcome, but you don't give yourself the just miracle outcome.
So less than 50% of the time, a 3 attack minion survives versus 12.5% of the time, the 2/3 survives. I think I'll take the 3 times the more likely outcome. And it does matter. We know that Viper plays a Soulfire deck. You need to minimize the damage stat.
And Bloodyface does not have much time to make that decision now.
Almost to the point where Bloodyface might attack, brawl, and then Weapons Project. Oh, Ziliax.
Precision.
Okay.
All right, he's just picking this apart. He's not going to brawl.
Interesting. Saving onto that brawl. Did he get the damage in?
This Kobold Lackey is going to kill the Ziliax. Magic Carpet.
Goodness.
Okay.
So tap. Unless Viper wants to Dark Possession first, and then gets to see the Demon option, but then he can't life tap unless... no, he can't life tap successfully and play that card. But we'll see what comes out of Demon. The Demon pool.
Felguard, Pitlord, Succubus. I feel like Pitlord has to be your option here.
It's
yeah.
It's just the meatiest.
Right. And there's 3 damage on the board. You can Lackey, Magic Carpet into Lackey.
Yep. Push 3 damage. Put it down to 7. Bloodyface does have the Weapons Project and does have taunts in the way to Ziliax.
Ooh, this is interesting. Do you want to push the 1 damage, or do you want to get this off the board?
It's a tough position. This could be what makes or breaks the game.
Yeah.
That extra damage is so crucial, but you're not going to be able to get rid of this Militia Commander.
Harrison Jones. Weapon Project plus Harrison Jones is powerful, but it's not really something that looks like Bloodyface has time for.
I'm thinking about what Town Crier can really also pull, but I mean, he already uses Ziliax.
Yeah, and now he does still have this brawl, but he doesn't have any way to get rid of the egg.
You can Weapons
before
Project
he brawls. Yes, yes. That's true.
So
and he can play. So he's gonna Harrison.
That belongs in
okay.
the museum.
Yeah. Going for the card draw here. So he's up to 13. All right.
And he's
Shield Slam is such a big draw here for Bloodyface.
I think that's what he was fishing for.
It absolutely must be. He finds exactly what he needs and is able to take down so much of Viper's threats here.
Yeah. It may look like, oh, Bloodyface just happened to go for it, but he's calculating his odds in this position.
Yeah.
And he still wasn't dead.
Right.
If it didn't pan out because he was at a safe 13 life.
At 11 now.
Although, if it was a Soulfire, tap Soulfire. Oh, man.
There's 3 on the board. Direwolf Alpha makes it 4-5. Grim Rally.
Some big damage.
6-7.
That's good.
That can put Bloodyface down to 4 life.
Yeah. There's also the Pit Lord setup too.
Yeah.
So if you like Mecharoo, Pit Lord, and then Grim Rally, push 5 damage instead, you put your opponent down to 7 life. The Pit Lord's at a 6-7, which is kind of meaty, but you're coming up. Actually, no, it's only 9 mana still, so they can't make a Devastator. I actually like it.
No, I agree. Yeah, looking at this, you're not actually getting lethal here.
I like this. And then if the big Scarab survives, you're able to use that without to push a little bit extra damage.
5 damage comes in. 6 life for Bloodyface. Big board for Viper. Up.
The trade here is actually fairly important.
So this specifically is to protect the Pit Lord. So Bloodyface can kill off the egg.
Okay, is it time to brawl?
Brawl.
The brawl has a legitimate case to it with, oh, actually the Hecklebot.
Well, he can brawl and then play Hecklebot if he needs to, is the thing.
And the chances are he's going to pull a weak minion.
Right. There's only Rafam for really big things in the deck. Everything else is 1, 2, or 3 cost.
A Razor's Edge. He's not trying to even lose any single bit of life. He's going to brawl. And if the Pit Lord survives,
be a big deal. Nope, Pit Lord is not the winner. It is
average result.
After all the abuse that Lackey took from his evil overlord.
That damage is relevant too, because now Soulfire lethal is a possibility still if it's runner.
The Hecklebot here, he's going to kill it first.
Oh, the Hecklebot could have such a big punch to the Rafam.
Okay.
Viper's looking for Rafam or the Soulfires. Or Solarium.
Solarium! That is big. I wonder though if Viper may have the thought process of I want to hold the Solarium.
Oh, we're going for it, Gambler. 2 Soulfires.
Going deep.
One of them.
Only 1 Soulfire here. That is not enough to end the game.
But he can play his hand.
Yeah, he can play every single card here, and Bloodyface just used his Brawl.
Right. And he just needs one of these minions to stick for damage so that he can Soulfire again off the top. If any of these minions stick, that's all he needs.
3 life for Bloodyface, but now 10 mana. That means Omega Devastator. That means Omega Assembly.
Omega Assembly is huge because it could get him lifesteal minions or armor minions.
There's another Brawl, too. But if he brawls...
If he brawls and loses...
Yeah.
He can just remove with the Omega Devastator, but he's not gaining life. That's the big problem.
Bloodyface has Hecklebot, and he has the Big Game Hunter, so he can Hecklebot into Big Game Hunter if he does hit Rafam.
But then he's still dead to
Rafam, it's true. If he hits anything but Rafam...
Face me, you inept ingrate.
It's Rafam! Okay, well... That's the best Rafam's been all day.
Yeah, he's going to shut it down, but he's able to gain life. Here's the thing, though. Viper has a big board. Did he play both Grim Rallies? Yes.
5 life for Bloodyface, just out of range of
Soulfire.
That's
off the top!
But it's not enough. The Hecklebot means he's 1 off.
He used both jugglers as well.
If he can find Evil Genius, Flame Imp comes down, Soulfire into the Hecklebot, allows him to chip away, take the Hecklebot down.
He's going for gold. 1 damage of lethal. Shield block draw for Bloodyface. That is a huge draw.
6 life now from the brink of death. Dinomatic! That will wipe out Viper's entire board. Rafam is gone. He got taunted. Subtle was backstage telling him how terrible he was. He came out to fight him with the Hecklebot. There's no miracles waiting in Viper's deck. And Bloodyface complete the comeback from 1 life.
Bloodyface takes the series in a comeback position, wins 3-2 and advances in the winner's match.
Next match is going to be Hunterace versus justsaiyan. Okay, gentlemen, please shake your hands. Please come to the center. Okay, good luck. Please take a seat.
Yeah, and I think if the previous two matches are anything to go by for today, we've got another crazy one on as the Control Warriors are banned out. So there are some similarities, you know, Rogue being involved in there, and I'll say Control Shaman for both players, but there are some pretty big differences in these builds between Hunterace and Saiyan.
3/4, fantastic card. If you could potentially play it in Conjurer's Mage, might get some work done.
It's a fantastic card when you can make your opponent run it.
Yeah, and then just steal it away.
Yeah, and then you use it.
Yeah, when you have full control of the levers like Chucky does, then everything's a fantastic card.
That is very, very true. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Spider Bomb not being super impactful, but it did ensure a board clear, I'll say. However, you know, low impact it maybe is something. And now, though, maybe a rare moment here as Hunterace does have initiative on the board. There is the pick equipped, but there's also just a lot of good cards in Hunterace's hand.
There's also, I'm pretty sure, about to be a board full of 3-drops. No? Yes?
You can still do it. Remove the weapon.
Yeah, right,
the pick's normally the nightmare. Here comes the Conjurer's Calling with Khadgar, and as you said, it's going to be a pretty big board.
His charge minions have +2 attack!
It's harvest time.
I just like the way that voice line was like, but it's harvest time. Funnily enough, though, double 2/4 lifesteals. There could be a lot worse 3-drops to get. And now Saiyan needs to piece together a way to win.
How does this work? I confess, I was so offended by the Warsong Commander change that I never actually used it since. Do you have to play the minion to get the buff? What happens if he like Conjurer's Callings into a charge minion? Does it get the buff?
I don't
from the
think
Warsong
it says
Commander?
play. I think it just says your charge minions have +1
attack. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yay,
Sweet.
thank you. Fantastic observer. Now, my question, and we discussed this in a previous matchup because I just like going face with Rogue. Does Saiyan actually have to just consider the fact that he may not be able to deal with this board, mainly because of the 2/4s?
Yeah.
And then just pick, he has Deadly Poison, he's just seen an ooze.
But there are 2/4 lifesteals on the board.
You can pump out a lot of damage though. There's Abyss, there's SI, there's Deckhand, and there's the Waggle Pick.
All right, let's see. So you fall this turn. He goes to 15, he goes back up to 19 from the lifesteal. Then next turn you draw Leroy, you have 16.
Right, he'll go lower because you do Deadly Poison, right?
Oh, sure, okay. And then next time if you draw Leroy, then yeah, okay, sure.
I'm just thinking at this point,
it's an out.
I don't know how he does it.
It's
We can
definitely
see who's number 2 is there for Hunterace. So this could put a lock. He can also... Oh, never mind, no he can't.
There's the sneak.
Yep. His board's going to be full though. Not that it matters, he is healing for an additional 4.
I think Hunterace should consider here whether playing the 7-mana, the Rabble Bouncer for 7 is actually plays around more outs from his opponent. I think that's probably nonsense, but it's worth thinking about. He should also think about potentially, after attacking, pinging off one of his own minions so he continues to have room for a taunt on the following turn. Although I don't think that's relevant because he just pushes lethal himself over 2 turns anyway.
Also, worst case, are you ready, Sol? If one minion dies now after him playing that, he could Mossy Horror his board, then Conjurer's Con to 6-drop charges for the lethal.
Sick.
I mean, you want some shiny plays.
Yeah.
But now with that second ooze, I think that's just broken the back of Saiyan's potential offense here.
Does seem that way. And you can see the power of, this is kind of what this deck evolved to, right? It was initially this deck was being built with like, well, I just want to play Mountain Giants and then Conjurer's Call it because then I win the game. I drop Khadgar and Conjurer's Call and I get a board full of Mountain Giants and it's incredible. It turns out, if you Khadgar Conjurer's Calling a minion of just about any cost, you win a lot of games of Hearthstone. So lowering that curve to the point where you can fight back against aggro has really improved this deck's win rate across the board, and that's just exactly what you've seen here. You saw it earlier with, I I think Bloodyface using Conjurer's Calling on 2 drops just to fight the board against Zoo. Now you're seeing it being used on Voodoo Dolls and other 3 drops to incredible effect by Hunterace.
It's what I was talking about yesterday when we talked about lackeys, in that the current way the game is just being played is that having a lot of minions, even if they're small, is just good right now.
Yeah.
Because no deck really deals with that outside of maybe Warrior, and that's it. So already, look at everything Saiyan's having to do to just try and even up the board state, and he doesn't. And he may just be dead soon, and there's not a lot he can do about it. So Hunterace can actually go Fire Tree Witch Doctor to try and get some form of lethal here. He needs Frostball upwards.
Yeah, he could also go Caligos for the same effect, but Fire Tree Witch Doctor would let him make a defensive play alongside that.
Scale Worm,
Rabble Bouncer. Yep.
What to do? What to do?
I think I like the Witch Doctor a bit more.
Can Warsong Commander at least say your Rush minions have +1 attack?
No.
Your Rush and Charge minions have +1 attack?
No.
Give your minions with less than the 3 or less attack charge?
No.
Please?
No, because that would still be good.
Even the Tavern Brawl, where we get to play these wonderful decks from the past. Well, no, it's because Osaka won with nerfed patrons.
Oh,
so
sure. It was right before, wasn't it?
He has Tempo Patron in his world. Like, the most oppressive deck of all time, have to nerf it. Never made it to the World Championship.
Well.
No.
Stop living in the past, Sol. Oh, interestingly enough, just went for the overall, just more powerful play on board and said, you know what, I want the Rabble Bouncer and the Scale Worm. Beat me now, Rogue.
Yeah, sure, makes sense. Why go fishing for a lethal out when this board state is lethal anyway?
No need to make things complicated.
Saiyan just gave a look up, just a glance over the desk at Hunterace. It's like, yeah, all right, I guess you got me.
I give up.
There's the concede from Saiyan. Just decided to just give a second just to check over everything, but Hunterace takes the win even with the burn of the Mountain Giant.
Alongside that Leroy Jenkins that he has, with Hunterace representing a huge amount of damage on board. And there you see the magic of modern Hearthstone.
We're
the
back.
Discover is resumed from right where we left off.
We will not make Sottle a liar. We will continue. But most importantly as well, I think on top is, I would love to be in Saiyan's mind right now because he knows there's a card.
Yes.
There is a card that has not been played yet that could be pretty much anything that isn't a rogue card.
Yes.
Which he has to consider. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, oh, you should think it's Frostbolt, but he has to consider something may happen. So is what, 16 available now?
3, 6, 12,
if you just
15,
threw everything
16,
down?
Yep.
Not that he needs to this turn, but I do think this Frostbolt's coming out no matter what. Because you just don't want stuff to happen with that pick.
Right.
Especially because Hunterace has minions on board, so these minions from Saiyan can be traded off to guarantee like a specific bounce target if he so chooses.
Yes. And Hunterace has a lot of mathematics to do right now because he needs to set up a position for himself where he has assured lethal himself on the following turn while freezing Saiyan's face so the Waggle Pick can't be used, while also playing around probably Leroy plus a card is the range he will play around, like Leroy Abyss, Leroy Backstab, that Leroy Sap, that kind of thing. Regenerate definitely helps getting the job done. So we'll see if Hunterace can achieve all of those 3 things. I think Leroy plus a card will be the range that he will look to beat.
There's
here.
the Frostbolt. And Saiyan's reaction.
So now...
Okay, it's just a machine.
1, 2, 3, 4 in play. He's going to take 1 out, takes that damage anyway, which seems somewhat irrelevant. But I guess the bounce, yeah, that's fair. So now, yeah, Leroy plus the 3 in play would be 9 plus a card. Eviscerate in this case is 13. South Sea Deckhand is 11. Yeah, I think he's done this perfectly.
And this is very interesting, isn't it? Because you wind back, yes, we have ultimate godlike vision here, but the Leroy Shadow Step earlier could have really helped out this turn as he would have pushed the damage and had a cheap Leroy to just replay once again. There is still Deckhand, Leroy, and Evis, though. Can't all be played this turn before anyone jumps at me. But still.
Double Deckhand as well.
Could he no, it wouldn't matter.
He was so close in so many ways there as well, because he had Deckhand, Shadow Step, Deckhand, which is the same damage as the Eviscerate, and then Re-Dagger to try and bounce the Deckhand as well with all this stuff on board. There was so many ways that he could have tried to get the job done there.
Look at this, Saiyan now going on the defensive because he knows just as much as he nearly killed Hunterace, Hunterace could just nearly kill him too.
And he also knows that he has turn 8 next turn. This is turn 8 Rogue, and he's going into turn 8. So this is do or die for Hunterace, and Hunterace gives the shake of the head. That's such an ugly hand, because he needs to pay full mana for a Dread Corsair to play his raiding party to get the Waggle pick, which would make his Dread Corsairs cost 0.
Yes.
That's ugly.
That is about as bad as it gets, I would say, in terms of just the hand composition. So Hunterace there, dropping the raiding party, is getting the dagger equipped. Not the dagger is really meant for much greatness at this point, although it does add up to 10 with the Leroy if he does get attacking with the Corsair. But now what can Saiyan do? Because this Ethereal Lackey as well can make things a little bit spicy.
I think with the Deckhand plus Rush, he's just in business here, right? He just has guaranteed lethal without a bounce. 6 from the Leroy, 7 from the weapon, 1 from the Lackey. He doesn't need to bounce anything, it's just guaranteed lethal. I was going to bring up the idea of whether he could have been defensive on the previous turn without dropping the 1-5 into play, because the 1-5 is very difficult to kill off to then guarantee the bounce that he wanted, but it turns out he just had the pure lethal without the extra bounce of the Leroy needed.
He has Thunderhead, Sludge Slurper as a combo, which will, 1, gain him 2 spells because of Hagatha, 2, create some nice interaction between Thunderhead and start pressuring and peeling off some minions himself. So Saiyan, I feel, has found himself in a very, very nice situation.
Hunterace created that kind of awkward in-between situation where it's kind of testing for your opponent's ooze, just saying, hey, you want to ooze this? But Hunterace, having now picked up the second, is very free to ooze this if he wants to.
And it just keeps getting better, I feel, for Saiyan.
Forked Lightning with the Thunderhead in play is kind of nonsense.
That was fantastic, but also Rain of Toads. Being able to get next turn is also pretty great too, so this just keeps going from
that's a game
from worse to worse for Hunterace.
That is a game-winning turn for Saiyan. All right. If you didn't have it wrapped up enough already.
Like I said, I think the Rain of Toads, although not as flashy and as clean as this, I think the Rain of Toads was just good enough.
Well, he has Vargoth Feral Spirit next turn now.
Yep. Whatever.
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
If the Thunderhead...
You could wait a turn and have Vargoth, Rain of Toads.
If the Thunderhead is still in play, that's going to mess with him potentially, overloading for support space with the Spark Summoning. But if the Thunderhead is still in play when the turn passes back to him, it probably doesn't really matter what cards he has in his hand at that point, right?
And again, you start to just see the slight differences in the way the builds work in certain matchups. So Hunterace's build is just a little bit slower, a little bit more slower, and then just provides a little bit less pressure. I will say the scheme into Hagatha ended up working very, very nicely.
Yeah, I think it's, you can see now what the intention was, right? When you see it after the fact, it's very, very clear that he just wanted that little bit of time. And speaking of signaling intentions, I like what Hunterace is doing here as well. It's not going to work. It's one of those situations where you have to extol the virtues of the losing play, because on average, Hunterace is playing to his out. He's not playing any minions because he doesn't want Saiyan to be able to heal. If he plays minions, Saiyan can rush fountains at him in the near future, and then he has no way of winning. By there, just setting up the Waggle pick after he's seen an ooze, he's setting himself on a Leroy top deck to be able to threaten lethal himself. It turns out that Saiyan's entire hand is full of cards that shut down that option, and the Walking Fountain that Hunterace is trying to play around is not there, but there was no other out that Hunterace could play to.
He has to do something, right? That's the key point. And also, again, it's like, well, if I equip the pick and then he answers it again, what's the problem? Well, if you never equip it, just Saiyan's just -1 card from your deck, and hand, most importantly. And also, I believe, is that Burglar 2 or 1 now? I think it's 1, right?
1. Okay. Yes, I think it's 1.
Because these are the moments where this deck can get a little bit funky because you can end up just getting...
No, he got the Noble Sack.
Oh, of course, you're right, you're right. So those are the moments where it can get a little bit wild because he can just get some very random cards, basically, that can really mess up the game. But wasn't to be with just a rock biter weapon as the best choice that Hunterace got with. I don't even know what he does. Like, I don't think he could really win the game with the resources he has right now if there were no minions on the board.
Right.
And it was just Saiyan's blank board and his hand.
Yeah. Like,
Never mind a board full of minions.
Like, while you were talking, I was trying to live in, like, Trollden world, right? Where there's some other way of... Like, he blink foxes into Wind Fury and then goes like Leroy Wind Fury Rockbiter or some nonsense like that. But like, that's just still nowhere near good enough with what he's facing down.
We need the one that gives him Quad Wind Fury or Mega Wind Fury for the technical term.
Sure.
And for Leroy to be immune.
Yes.
Trade through minions. We're just making stuff up.
Hunterace just looking miserable right now at just how good Saiyan's plays continue to be for him. Mojo Master Z. Yup. Can't Leroy Shadow Step me on 6 mana, idiot.
Just to confirm, that is not a quote from Saiyan before Sol gets people in trouble. That is a quote directly from Sol himself, and it's something he would definitely say on ladder. But most importantly, a smile from Hunterace. He knows it. Even his, smallest of small outs now pretty much just doesn't exist.
Yeah. And this is a key point. If, like, Mojo Master Z, he's kind of out of the meta game right now, but if it comes back in, this is the key point to know about it. It doesn't matter who's the control deck and who's the aggro deck, it matters who's in control.
Yes.
See, he favors the player who is ahead in the game. Just going to kind of grind back and forth to see if one of them runs out of resources, because Hunterace has already drawn that Shudderwock, and with the plus health buff that he's now getting, with the Giggling Inventor battle cry that he's now getting, like, that Shudderwock is going to be game ending if it's able to come down.
It really is, isn't it? Mind control tech as well.
Yep.
Little proc.
Yep.
Big deal here, though, is that there is just a gap, I'll say. And the gap looks like just about a flying carpet could fit through it, because that's the one minion that's really giving Hunterace some trouble now. I'm not saying he's just going to lose because of it, but it's the scary one. And I've found myself time and time again in games I've watched and games I've played that have involved Zoo, is if there's one thing that will randomly lose you the game, it's leaving a flying carpet up. And we might get to see some fireworks fly right now.
Might indeed. I think, again, you do have to blinker your vision if you really want to live in the land of hope, though, because, yes, Knife Juggler and Evil Genius and Rushing Lackeys and other small minions can really take care of this board state. But Hunterace just bats his eyelashes and just answers right back with the Lightning Storm turn, and it's really all for naught as far as Saiyan's concerned.
It is. I've not got much else for you. It's as good as it's going to get, though, to be completely honest. Ooh. So for me, big choice between the fairly steady Fiendish Circle there, or just the heroic Bane of Doom to create Doomguard back from the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Bane of Doom has lost a lot of impact from the days of yore, where the Demon Pool was a lot more limited and the high rolls were a lot more frequent because of that.
You just hope they forgot to code it in, because no one's played Bane of Doom for a long time, and they're like, yep, Doomguard's still in the pool, let's go!
I know we talked about the World Championship Tavern Brawl, and that's one of the funny things, is that the RNG effects still have the full pool. So if it's like summon a random 2-drop, it could be any random 2-drop. Like Piloted Shredder is dropping 2-drops from the new expansion, which is kind of funny. It's like, well, this didn't happen in Worlds.
You're breaking the timeline.
Yeah.
That never ends well. Funnily enough, although you'd say Giggling Inventor is built against aggro matchups, Zoo's probably the best aggro deck to beat it, because of a card like Flying Carpet and the abundant...
And Knife Juggler as well.
Yeah, Knife Juggler, and just the fact that they run an abundance of small, tiny tokens. So
and it plays into your Sea Giants as well.
Yeah, so asking for multiple hits into these minions is normally a pain. But
the package!
I'm going to start calling this FedEx Zoo.
Nice.
Oh, good old written out. Oh, there's a World Championship card if I ever saw one. Or at least an old school card. River Croc.
Yeah. Now, Firebat had some pretty bad cards in his World Championship Hunter, but River Croc was not in there, I don't believe.
If only. Was a legitimate Hunter card, though, for a long time.
Was. River Croc into Coin Houndmaster, just deleted people. They just died.
So many, but almost out of time.
Slight, just a small issue to note as well. Well, one, there's the good old for the second time today, the one-mana Sea Giant with Rush.
If this ends up being as relevant as the last rushing Sea Giant we saw, then it's going to be a game-winning play for Saiyan.
There's a window.
There is.
Because if Hunterace has to Lightning Storm, he cannot Shudder Walk the turn after.
Very true.
Which is a huge, huge problem.
Very
but
true.
I don't know if he can't Lightning Storm this turn.
Storm and Ziliax.
He has to do both, right? I was thinking if there's a way you can get away with just Ziliax.
Yeah, is there a play that lets him Shudder Walk next turn?
You would have to Ziliax the Juggler so that the Ziliax doesn't get juggled and has to be traded into for an extra 3 health.
Right.
So say he does that. There's what?
Goes
3,
to 20,
5,
then
7,
he goes to 23
16,
again as something trades into
16
him.
on board and Saiyan.
1 Soulfire.
Yeah, I was just checking. And no Leroy,
Nope.
most importantly. So it's literally a Soulfire and Direwolf.
Abusive Sergeant.
Yeah, 2 Abusive Sergeants,
Grim
2
Rally.
Direwolves, Grim Rally. Oh, there's a lot.
But there's none of them in his hand right now, so it would be Runner off the life tab that he'd need to pick up.
Wait, what can he transform into with the Lackey?
Oh, great point, actually.
I mean, so there's 3 into
looking at-
4, 2 into 3, 1 into 2.
So Korkron Elite off the 4 spot. His Magic Carpet can become Korkron.
I think he... I don't know if he can play Lightning Storm.
It's such a hard turn.
It is, that's what I'm saying. Oh, Ancestral Healing on the Acolyte.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I like that.
Is it going to happen, though?
Oh, surely.
I think he wants to save Ancestral Healing for the Shudder Walk. There's the Direwolf. So now the rushing Witchy Lackey can, on its own, deal with the Ziliax.
My worry is, did he need it for the Shudder Walk? Did he need it for the Shudder Walk, though? It makes 2 Annoytrons.
Grim Rally. There's the Grim Rally!
Quick Soul, do
Grim
maths.
Rally and Abusive.
Okay, that has to be
Direwolf,
enough.
Grim Rally, Abusive has to get there,
It has
surely.
to. I'm not even going to count that one. Wait, does he need to? He doesn't need to play Mechary, right?
He wants a rushing 1-drop to make his trade.
Okay, sure, because he's going to Grim Rally the Abusive.
He can do it this way, Direwolf and then Grim Rally the remaining bit of the Mecharoo and then Abusive afterwards
Sure,
if he even needs it. Yep.
Whichever way, don't know about you, but that looks like a large amount of damage, Stottle.
12, 16,
Yeah,
19,
that's it.
21.
Easy. Whew! And Saiyan takes the win over Hunterace. An extremely close matchup overall, but Saiyan taking that game, we were saying that it looked pretty grim because Hunterace had so much removal.
Yeah.
And again, I have to ask the question, it's easy for me to say Saddlepay not on that stage, but did he really need to save that taunt, the Ancestral Healing, when he could have done it on the Acolyte? Drawn more cards to help him out with, and also just soaked more damage, because if you survive, then Shudderwock make it mind control techs.
Next match will be the last match of day 2, and the match is going to be hometown favorite Roger versus Bloodyface. Okay, players, please come to the center. Please shake your hands. 好，再次帮我们的罗杰加油一下。Please take a seat.
He's probably the most improved player, I'd say, over the last year and a half or so, and now is just a remarkable all-star when it comes to Hearthstone. And he's taken on Roger, and honestly, I feel like the story for Roger is that it is just another iteration of him just completely trying to hate out control decks. It seems like he does it all the time, every single tournament, and he's done it here yet again. His Rogue, and you think about the decks that people are going to try to bring to beat Rogue, one of your natural steps then is to go, okay, well, what decks beat those? And a lot of times the answer is aggro decks. And continues so on and so forth, where a metagame develops and you have the aggro, the mid-range, and the control decks afterwards. Kind of an interesting meta that we're in early on here.
Yeah.
Rogue is ridiculous, but, you know, the rest of it looks pretty good to me.
Saw Roger give a little bit of a head shake there when he saw the Henge Clan Thug. There's really only one card that deals with a Henge Clan Thug that's unchecked on the board, and that's True Silver Champion.
That's correct. And, you know, looking at the list overall, Roger also has one copy of Valdor Peacekeeper, although that is, you know, at best a temporary answer to Henge Clan Thug.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of Noya modules to try to, you know, block some damage to just a 2/4 Divine Shield Taunt. But there is no equality and there is no consecration in this deck. There's no Wild Pyromancer. It is pretty much, by every stretch of the means, a weird variation of a magnetic deck. And I mean, like, just that's the game plan, magnetic.
Yeah.
There's not really much else going on. And it's kind of weird to think about that when Roger won in his last set versus Tyler, it was against Rogue. Now, I will say I don't think Tyler had the best hand in the world in that game. But the fact that this deck hung at all is very surprising to me.
Yeah. I would agree with you.
So Roger, with the play of the Crystal Smith Kangor, he's going to give himself one more opportunity to draw a True Silver Champion, because this is likely to demand attention here from Bloodyface. And so if Bloodyface is going to play that in, you know, the most face-up way, you have to attack it with Henge Clan Thug, because there are also 2 copies of Blessing of Kings in Roger's deck. And so Bloodyface is thinking, how on earth does this Henge Clan Thug get dealt with? So if he can kill the Kangor and he can protect it somehow, that's the ideal scenario.
Yeah. And you mentioned that Roger was able to take the victory against Rogue in the last series. But honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really an important matchup for him. Yes, it gives him one additional chance to beat Warrior. That's essentially what it comes down to. But his strategy is to just beat Warrior. And he can do it 3 times in a row. I don't want to say no problem, but relatively easily. As close to no problem as you can get in Conquest.
I'll give you an idea of what that means. Pretty much every player I talked to here competing was practicing against Roger's lineup or helping somebody practice against Roger's lineup. And just time after time after time again, they'd come back and they'd be like, Warrior just doesn't beat Roger's decks. And then about a day and a half into it, Hunterace comes up, he goes, oh, we took a game off the Roger lineup with Warrior. We figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, does it work? He goes, sometimes.
I think 1 in 15 was the number that at least one player threw around in regards to
Warrior versus Roger.
Warrior versus Roger. And that's not even like 1 in 15 chance to win the series. That's 1 in 15 chance to just beat it once with one of your decks.
Yeah.
It's just miserable.
I agree with the coined war gear here. I think it's just the way that Roger can perhaps get back into this one.
Has a relatively clean answer for it. Doesn't get to keep the Henge Clan Thug growing, but gets to cycle through his deck a little bit.
Well, could draw prep. If he draws prep, the Henge Clan Thug gets to possibly keep growing. Oh, wow. Okay, so now a real decision point for Bloodyface. I imagine he's more interested in prepping the raiding party, but given the way that the matchup is, I could really see Eviscerate being an option and going from there.
I think with the way his hand is, he doesn't have a great activator for raiding party. So if he uses the prep on the Eviscerate just for the dagger up, I definitely don't think that's worth it. He wants to find that wacko pick. He wants to end this game before Roger's jank catches up to him.
Yes, it's ASAP is how you want to end the game. And so this is really the turn for Bloodyface, where this is likely the most important turn of the game in terms of Roger's hand. Mechano Egg, I think, is the card Bloodyface doesn't want to see, because that will then give Roger the possibility of having Ziliax and then the possibility of having Kangor's Endless Army. I think that's really the one way that Bloodyface loses in this spot. And since Roger doesn't have the Mechano Egg here, it's almost impossible for him to stick a minion for a turn, and Bloodyface is going to steamroll through this game as a result.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Is the Ooze in hand, but I just don't feel like the Ooze is going to be enough to fend off the next turn, because I'm not even convinced that Bloodyface needs to use Waggle Pick. Oh, okay, well now that he's drawn 2 South Sea deckhands, he definitely doesn't need to use Waggle Pick anymore.
Yeah. Also, with the board lead, Waggle Pick could be a liability with the possibility of ooze. Like, imagine he were to play Waggle Pick there, and then he oozed and it brought back the Hedge Clan Thug that he's invested all this early game in playing.
Yeah, True Silver is too little too late, and that's going to be game 1 to Bloodyface. But again, this is how we pretty much expect things to go.
Yes.
The Mage deck from Bloodyface, I think, is still pretty well positioned against Roger's lineup. Roger's more concerned with grinding out a Warrior versus a Warrior game than he is about beating Mage, although a lot of his decks have greed against Mage. But the idea is that Roger is so favored against Warrior that that is where he finds the win condition.
Roger, I mean, we can see that he only has 1 spell left in the deck, and that's the second Book of Specters. He had both Conjure's Calling and Opening Hand.
Yeah.
Still a funny face.
A lot of 1/1s coming in.
Yeah, this doesn't even look like a weird mech deck at all.
It is. I'll get to it in a second. I wanted to talk about the Mage deck.
Go ahead.
Rabble Bouncer's becoming core. 7-mana, 2/7 taunt becomes 1 less mana for each minion your opponent controls.
Yep.
And then pretty straightforward stuff from Bloodyface afterwards. The Dragon package in there, 2 Mind Control techs, a Harrison Jones, 2 copies of Astromancer, and then a Baron Geddon and a Mossy Harbor thrown in there to try to fight off the aggro decks in the later game. Have that sustained pressure where their development's concerned. Roger's deck is once again pretty wacky looking. You see Zul'jin in the opening hand. The Undertaker's in there. 2 Unleash the Beast, Oblivitron, 2 Mechanical Whelp, Cairn, Ziliax, Harrison Jones.
I can't help it.
There's so many 5+ cost cards.
I can't help it.
And a lot of decks work that way, but most of those decks have a few more ways to actually fight stuff off in the early game. Like, typically when you have a greedy deck like this, like take a look at Bloodyface's, for instance, you have Mind Control techs in there, Sun Fury Protectors to try to turn your big minions into board leverage, Scale Worms for some sort of immediate impact. You look at Roger's deck, it's like Spring Paws, some Acidic Swamp Ooze, a Deadly Shot. Spider Bombs are good. That's always a good one to fight on board. What is this Archmage Vargoth doing in here? That's how greedy his lists are. He's just like, yeah, if it's a card I can play to do something with and has an additional benefit somewhere, it's going in. Yeah, his decks are quite bad versus any consistent aggressive strategy. However, they can get the job done sometimes. And sometimes in positions like this, he can become the aggressor. So Bloodyface is fearing like Deadly Shot in this spot. Spider Bomb Fireworks tech.
I honestly think in this matchup, just in general, I mean, I'm not an expert on this matchup. I don't think anybody is because Roger's deck is just so unique. But I think you're holding Mountain Giant to be able to play Conjurer's Calling with it on the same turn. Just because of Deadly Shot, because of Spider Bomb plus the Firework tech, there's ways that you can get blown out of the game, and especially in that spot. He knows there's already links in hand. He's got a Leok on board that's buffing the minions. His Mountain Giant would die on board, and that's a really big tool to have for the Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah, and honestly, the Archmage Vargoth here does become pretty exceptionally scary in Bloodyface's position, because what that means is if he's holding on to these Conjurer's Callings and trying to just get that 1 turn secure, as long as that Archmage is there, Deadly Shot can threaten to take them both away.
Yep.
Just a 2/6 right now, but it's the effect that's threatening. And now Khadgar joins the party for Bloodyface. And so that is another thing to look for. Like, can he ever get to a turn where he's able to Mountain Giant Khadgar Conjurer's Calling? And, in this spot, Bloodyface, I think, has more consideration for the Mountain Giant than he did previously, because if Deadly Shot happens, that's the lone copy of Deadly Shot, and the Archmage impact is negated at that point. He's also opening himself to the potential of having the Khadgar Conjurer's Calling next turn if Roger cannot deal with it. So I think this is a good risk versus reward spot.
Yeah, also, kind of just needs to deal with the Vargoth, really.
Yeah.
It can be really threatening, but just the fact that he draws Khadgar, you're taking that risk almost every time, because if that Mountain Giant lives, you win the game effectively.
The payoff is immense, and I don't even think it's effectively. I think he wins the game if this Mountain Giant sticks.
And it's going to stick.
Yeah, Roger has no way to kill it. This is actually an unkillable Mountain Giant for Roger this turn. And honestly, like, it takes a weird combination and 2 turns in order to take it out. Like, Bloodyface is going to be in a colossal lead next turn.
Yeah.
Literally, I think it's unrecoverable.
Yeah. I mean, I think, honestly, his best play is probably coin Unleash the Beast, because then he gets to cast Unleash the Beast again at the end of the turn.
I'm looking at like Mechanical Whelp and like maybe a Ziliax drawn can get to do something. I don't think Unleash the Beasts get there. I think it almost never gets there.
Honestly, don't think anything gets there.
I certainly don't think this gets there.
No. Roger just hoping that, yeah, he doesn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. I mean, and rightfully so.
But he has it.
Yeah, he does have it. And Roger does it.
Yeah. Bloodyface, though.
Easy trade.
Easy trade. Khadgar Conjurer's calling and saying, is there anything that could possibly punish me?
No. Well, there are, but just not in Roger's team.
Yeah.
Grave Titan number 1, Grave Titan number 2, and then Grave Titan number 3. Roger concedes the game. And I honestly, like, I actually need to commend Roger at that spot for the concession, because just save your mental energy.
Yeah. Undertaker's not...
It's not core.
It's not core. It's not the
necessary.
main game plan of the Hunter deck. It's just an extra tool that helps you fight really well against control decks.
Just a big, dumb thing.
That's right.
And big, dumb things are good against control decks.
And if you get a resource out of a big resource out of Bloodyface here, you're probably feeling pretty good. If Big Game Hunter comes down here, that means those 7/7s that come out of that Mechanical Whelp.
It means that Big Game Hunter's going to go away. So Bloodyface, I think, has found a reasonable way to try to contest this Undertaker, but damage is going to start pouring on. And so for Roger, you know, I'm curious how much more you need to add to board in a situation like this. I think the Animal Companion is a bit dangerous, specifically because of Super Collider, but if your opponent has a Super Collider to Undertaker, to kill it into your Huffer, that sounds like a pretty reasonable deal to me. Also, if you get Huffer, you might just trade it off.
Yeah.
Wow, saving the Wing Blast and taking 6 damage instead.
I don't think he cares about the damage. Bloodyface is not going to be applying pressure.
And the Shaw as well.
My pack will hunt you down.
I'm plumb surprised.
He's saying if you brawl here, I solo 4/5. It's one brawl out of the way.
I think if I'm Bloodyface, I'm almost certainly brawling here. I don't really know if he has an option.
But if he brawls here and Undertaker doesn't live, he's still looking at 2 reasonably sized minions. Because it's whatever survives the brawl.
You got to do something. You can't just sit here.
He could Hecklebot brawl, but then if you Hecklebot and it pulls out a Mechanical Whelp,
yeah, I think the Hecklebot needs to be saved for like a very specific moment. And I definitely don't think this is it. Like, I feel like if you Hecklebot here, you can just die.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a Hecklebot Ziliax. I could see that, but I feel like stuff like Deadly Shot is so massive against you at that point. You know, another Spider Bomb effect. Just so many things can go wrong. Bloodyface is digging deep, though, and I don't blame him. Leads with Shield Block. I could see Big Game Hunter being the play and then look for a brawl on turn 10. I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah.
You're not going to have any minions in play anyway, so the Shaw effect is negated.
Wow. Whoa. Ho, ho.
Wow. All right, well.
So does he want to go BGH brawl?
Well, Bloodyface just strapped on his big boy shoes and said, all right, I'm taking a hit here. This is a chin check right here. How steel and iron of a chin does Bloodyface have? That is a lot of Damahe to take. I would not take that much personally. I think this could be foolish.
Sometimes in unfavorable matchups, you got to take risks, but that honestly doesn't seem like a risk to me. That just seems like he wasn't entirely sure what he wanted to do, so he wanted another turn to evaluate and hope that Roger potentially overextended into a brawl.
Yeah, I don't want to use the word foolish, but I wanted to let you know that that's the word that came to my head. I'm not quite confident enough to call it that, though.
All right, well, now he's seen a Mechanical Whelp, so Hecklebot brawl is a little bit better.
Dead or alive.
So the order of death rattles here is pretty massive. Undertaker would happen first, drawing with the Ursatron, and then the Oblivitron would activate should they both die simultaneously.
Unity. Precision.
I don't know, Kev.
He's going to heal up to 20. Deadly Shot's going to take this out. 18 damage showing.
Yeah, Bloodyface is about to go to 2. He took too much damage here. I see what the game plan was, though. If that Deadly Shot wasn't there, I think Bloodyface had a really strong opportunity to actually recover from this spot. And I think given what just happened, it's unrecoverable. Oh, Weapons Project. So you can Weapons Project, attack the Mechanical Whelp, and then you can Brawl, Armor Up Shield Slam. So if Roger draws a mech that doesn't do anything, and then the Oblivitron activates on that, Bloodyface can get an almost entirely clear board in this spot.
You also still have to think about whatever minion survives from the brawl. If Undertaker survives...
I just forgot as well that the Weapons Project gives Roger the 2/3 weapon as well. So in the situation I described, 8 damage, very possible in that regard.
He still has the Vicious Scrap Hound to maybe gain a little bit of additional armor if he absolutely needs to.
Well, he doesn't have... That doesn't do anything right now. It's just a 2/2.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have Rush. What a world we live in.
Wow, Oblivitron wins the brawl.
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, the Spider Bomb has Magnetic. So that's enough. There we go. Roger gets his first point on the board. Bloodyface. Played a bit risky there, but I see what the plan was. You're gonna have to discover some real good stuff.
I can't even think.
Well, Mega Devastator, that's always the one you want.
But even then...
Scrap Hound is a good second because Magnetic Ziliax onto that effectively doubles the lifesteal.
Yeah.
Returns with the armor on top of it. He just doesn't have a way to fight the tempo this turn. And that's probably enough to buy Roger this game.
But this is going to be just check after check after check.
Oh,
Bloodyface. At a certain point, we'll have to just check every Undertaker. Turn after turn after turn. Into Fatigue, into Elysiana.
And think about how you do that. It's by some point gaining tempo. Roger has no way to reset that tempo other than creating board tension. Yeah. That is it. And he does it extremely effectively in this kind of matchup. But Bloodyface has been reduced.
Oh, this is cute. The damage from Missile Launcher will actually gain the armor.
It's a true story.
Vicious Scrap Hound.
Yeah, that's a good way to, perhaps buy some of that life total. Maybe find a turn where you can get some time. But
yeah,
again, just the Undertaker is just so massively powerful. We haven't even seen Kangor's Endless Army yet, have we? I don't think we have.
I don't know. I don't think so.
And look at the punish here. Roger knows that the brawls are gone.
Omega Devastator. Can take out this 10-11.
Honestly, and kind of look at this turn right here with the way that Omega Devastator with the Ziliax will work. Bloodyface can just chin the 10 to knock it off with the 2-1 weapon.
And then heal it back up at least some. And even plop, because of the Galvanizer reduction on the Ziliax, can even play the Blast Shield to have a big health gain swing here.
Yeah. I think this is one you could take on the chin. However, I also think it's one where you can just use Ziliax. I think it's more effective to chin it, though. Don't even have to attack the Undertaker in this spot. Make Roger take 2 turns to activate that Death Rattle, and buy yourself some tempo and some leverage. That's the key. So now that Undertaker has lifesteal forever, but the Tyrion's going to come down here. This is a big moment because now Roger can lose the Immortal Prelate buff on the Undertaker. It's a possibility now.
Could lose it forever.
And another Omega Devastator gets drawn, and that's a really big deal.
That Tyrion play is is actually pretty crucial.
I think that's a blunder from Roger. And Bloodyface, look at the difference in body language since he's been seeing what's happening now. That's a mistake from Roger to risk the Undertaker in that manner.
I'm trying to figure out a reason why he would play it. He's not under too much pressure. Maybe he's thinking that because of the tempo that Bloodyface would gain by getting the essentially free trade onto the Undertaker, if he didn't draw it right away, or let's say the Undertaker went to the bottom part of his deck, he doesn't have really ways to fight on board. So maybe Bloodyface wins from that scenario just by trucking for 7 each turn. If he finds a way to deal with the 7/7 that comes out. I don't know.
I feel like this is the turn to kill Undertaker. I feel like this is absolutely the turn to kill Undertaker here.
This game swung around very quickly.
The face damage doesn't matter. The Undertaker has lifesteal for the rest of the game, and now Roger gets to land Sound the Bells on it to make it like a million, and then Bloodyface is going to have a really tough time handling it for the rest of the game. I think this was the turn to kill it as a nod specifically to Sound the Bells. But again, to have the presence of mind to be considering all of those factors. Whoa. What? I mean, I get it's for the death rattle on the Undertaker. I forgot that it retains all the death rattle buffs. Yep. So it has Immortal Prelate attached eternally for it. Is that correct? Because the Immortal Prelate text is part of that, right?
Yeah, you're
I am
right.
foolish, and I apologize. I'm a Philistine.
I don't know what that word means.
It means I'm an uncultured, uncouth swine, or something along those lines.
Yeah, the Undertaker, when it's played, it doesn't give you the 3 death rattles that it initially had. Because of the Immortal Prelate, it keeps it forever.
Yeah.
Yep. That's just correct. That's just 100% correct. And because it keeps everything forever, that means that all of these mechs were just death rattles that kept building up and building up. And he knows that the brawls are gone, so he knows that he wins.
Yeah. I feel foolish now.
Well, I do too. Let's just retire now. Go out while we're on the bottom. Yeah. Wrench Caliber, 5 with the Clockwork Goblin.
Face me.
Time for the Hecklebot.
Well, you got to kill that one.
Yep.
But you got a pretty good card to do it with. I'm going to start counting the 4 goes of armor that each player has.
Whew. Count the bombs for me, too.
There's 3 right now?
I believe so. 2 C4 bombers. And 1 swing of Wrench Caliber.
Yep.
No bombs have been drawn.
Light the fuses!
4 bombs.
Yep.
Lethal potential here for Roger.
I was kind of wondering why he played it this way, and this is literally the reason.
I don't know. That's a long shot.
Why
man.
would you just swing with the Wrench Caliber like that?
You have to call me admirable.
I was going to say, like, just after what's been going on, like, just wait.
He's got another Wrench Caliber in hand, though.
So I'm itching to use it.
His game plan is very obvious right now. He's losing in the resource battle. He's winning in the health battle.
What now?
Next turn, he's going Clockwork Goblin, Wrench Caliber, and he's saying,
Deal with it.
light me up, baby.
What now?
What happens if Bloodyface just tempos out 2 Omega Devastators? Like, you just boom, blow up 2 things. And you go, wow, this is 8 attack. I think that's the best course of action here, honestly.
What else does he do? Warpath armor up?
I think it's reasonable. Do the Omega Devastators down the line.
Not too much big stuff in the deck. Except for...
The thing is just use your spells first.
Yeah.
And then...
Now, one thing we haven't talked about, with all these bombs in the deck, Blastmaster Boom is a big card.
Yeah, Roger's under some heat here. I mean, 8 damage is nothing to scoff at.
He is at a comfortable 43 health.
The 8 Eternal changed that quick. Remember, there's no Warpath, there's 1 Brawl in Roger's deck.
Job done.
5 bombs in the deck.
6 bombs in the deck.
That's 6? Oh,
2
the Clockwork
Superior
Goblin.
bombs.
There we go.
2 Wrench Calibers, 1 Clockwork Goblin, and 1 additional swing.
Oh, 5 bombs in the deck.
Oh, that Dr. Boom?
Ooh. Major pickup for Bloodyface.
That was...
Laser to take out the 3/3, and now 8 damage gets to connect with Roger. So 5 bombs left in Bloodyface's deck. You can go up to 6 with the Wrench Caliber. And boy, I wish I had the card count on that side, because this is important information.
Pretty sure our card counter just couldn't keep up. 9? 14.
So 5 of Bloodyface's 14 cards are bombs.
So after this turn, if he swings the Wrench Caliber, it'll be 6 out of 15.
So just over a third of the deck. Roger, armor up button. He's thinking about passing here. I don't know about that one.
So there is a 4-bomb breakpoint available. That's very low odds. Very low odds.
I think you take him.
We sort of jokingly talked about this before the tournament took place.
There's no way he's considering Elysiana.
He's still
No way.
He's still got Blastmaster Boom in his deck.
Yeah, there's no way he can play Elysiana here. I don't believe that. I mean, this hand is very dry right now. Celiax gets drawn.
Oh my goodness.
Huge draw for Bloodyface.
7 heal.
11 damage, 12 from the Kaboom.
Now the bombs just don't even matter.
I mean,
he doesn't have a way to deal with this Omega Devastator buffed by
oh
Celiax.
Boy. Big draw. Low outcome. Extremely low outcome. I think Roger has to go for a brawl here. He's got to throw the Demolisher in there. He needs every point of chance he can get. This brawl is huge right now. Roger covers his face. He can't bear to watch. What? The Celiax Omega Devastator lives, and Roger is about to get Omega Devastated. Another Devastator.
Just to add insult to injury.
5 bombs left. Hang on, there's only 5 bombs left. So there is 0% chance Bloodyface could die in that position. And he actually was thinking about it. If he takes enough damage, what that means is that he can heal some of it back up.
Yeah. He's basically negating every opportunity that Roger would have to have some type of bomb lethal. Even if
Roger he's going to die. Something's got to happen here. And it's got to be now. He does not have time to mess around anymore. You think about those tempo shield slams and the chip damage he got in. How badly did he need those shield slams now?
What now?
Warrior matchups are about patience and deliberance. I said it at the start, it's much more technical play. And I think Roger had a good aggressive start. At some point, though, perhaps he might have gotten too aggressive. Roger concedes and Bloodyface moves out of the group and defeats what many were calling an unwinnable matchup.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the HCT World Championship. It's time for the Day 2 post-show. we're going to wrap up everything that happened in this second day of initial matches before we look forward to the elimination day on Saturday and, of course, that final day on Sunday. But I just want to, get a few more points on that last matchup between Roger and Bloodyface, because that was a series, to say the least.
Yeah, I really think that there's just so many things going on in matchups like that where it boils down to a lot of things where at first you're thrown into a circumstance you've never been thrown into before. Like having to take on a full anti-control lineup quite to this capacity, I think has rarely been seen in competitive play. And as a result, most players they haven't encountered that situation. What's it like there? You have to play with a lot of circumstances where you're unsure of what you're doing. You're like, I've practiced this some, but you can only have so much time. Here's the situation I'm in. Ultimately, it boiled down to game number 5, which I think is the weak point for Roger in that game. It's where he's most vulnerable. He could just kind of run out of stuff. He steams his stuff out just as he did, used tools for tempo, and Bloodyface was able to capitalize on that very effectively. Got one good outcome with the brawl situation, and then took it home as a result.
Yeah, and taking a look at how the group shaped up, we talked a little bit about it once the match was complete, but with that loss from Roger, a little bit of worried about him overall in the group, because if Viper wins that matchup, he's going to have a tough time advancing in a group that, like we said, many people thought he was the absolute favorite.
Yes, I mean, it was talks of him being immortal in the group amongst some of the pros as we asked them leading up to the tournament, during interviews and preparation, just kind of hanging out with them. It was a constant struggle to find out how to exactly to beat the lineup. And Bloodyface, it's that one critical moment where things go right. That's all it takes.
Yeah, but looking forward to seeing that match tomorrow. But taking a look at Group C, as Just Saiyan advanced by defeating Hunterace in the winners group, a match that is just so historic. They've already met 4 times throughout tour stops this year, one of those being in a final, which was, I believe, Seoul, or very close to the final, top 4.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy to think about how consistent these two have been. I mean, 2 of the most consistent of all time. If you put it in totality and in perspective, the players have just gotten better and better over the course of competitive years. I think that they're 2 of the finest that Hearthstone has to offer. To see them play once again was a pleasure as well. But, after the loss, Hunterace was looking very stressed out. I saw him as you and I were coming to the desk and he was walking away from the stage. He looked incredibly stressed about the loss to Saiyan in that regard. And, I get it, but, you still got more matches to play. The tournament's not over for Hunterace just yet. He needs to keep his focus and maintain what he's done the entire year long, which is dominate tournaments.
Yeah. The weird thing for Hunterace, though, is he's never quite been on a stage this big. Yeah. We talk about his consistency in his performance in tour stops, but tour stops just have a different vibe to the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where you're playing, on a much bigger stage. Here you're playing in front of a crowd. A lot more money at stake as well, plus just the pride of becoming the world champion. Hunterace, I think, would call this a disappointing year, despite all of his success, if he didn't have a great showing at the World Championship. So that's probably weighing on his mind. But Just Saying gets a day off tomorrow from winning his group, gets to look forward to the quarterfinals on Sunday, so he's probably feeling pretty good about himself.
You can't help but feel good about yourself at that point. You got the job done in 2 matches. You can't do it any sooner than that.
Yeah. But the bottom half of that group, Ike versus A83650, which is going to be taking place early on in the day tomorrow in those elimination matches. I think Ike, he said in his media pieces, he kind of came into this tournament I'm going to play my Hearthstone. I'm going to just bring the decks that I like. I'm not super favorite in my group, so I'm just going to hit people in the face and hope that it works out in the end.
Yeah, and that's really been Ike's style for a long time, is kind of brewing his own decks and building his own thing and having that work out. I think a lot of the, I'd say the draw factor that comes into it is much less about how Ike draws and much more about how his opponents draw. If his opponents don't draw fairly ideally, Ike's decks are usually well positioned to have strong mid-game value to capitalize on that. So it's kind of a unique style that comes in, and in this one, he laid it on Token Druid, and a lot of the decks here just happen to punish that thing.
Yeah, that's right. And taking a look at some of the trends from the first 2 days of play, Mage is dominating. Today, it was 6-1, but overall 10-3. Just a deck that's, I don't think as many players brought it as I thought it would, being brought by roughly half the field, but a deck that's been showing up really well.
Yeah, it's been incredibly powerful, and we've seen some of the crazy, explosive things that deck can do. That's kind of what happens when you pack Cube and a Death Rattle onto a 3-mana card and give you the option to cast it twice.
Yeah, and that second trend, one of my favorite statistics so far of the day, and I think our producer trolling us a little bit. Nobody played Priest today.
That's because Kill It All Day didn't play today, and he's the only player with Priest.
Yeah, but that means we may be getting to see somebody play Priest tomorrow.
Ooh. I imagine that's going to be killing all day.
Yeah, but you can take a look at the schedule for the next 2 days. Tomorrow is going to be insane. 8 matches of Hearthstone, all 4 elimination matches, followed right up by all 4 decider matches. It's been long, brutal days of Hearthstone just these past 2 days with 6 matches. I can't even imagine the players just trying to wait around all day with 8 matches.
Yeah, I mean, they're really being put to the test in terms of maintaining mental focus. And tomorrow, that's going to be tested against their mettle as well, where every single match, someone is going home.
Yeah. And then, of course, day number 4 is the final day. Quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. We're 2 days away from crowning ourselves the 2019 HCT World Champion. Woo! But for me, and that's admirable, and from the broadcast crew, we are done for the day. So join us tomorrow, same time, same place, for more HCT World Championship.